What is up, everyone? What is up? What is up? Happy Thursday. It's a catch-up stream because I was sick Monday, so yeah. I'm still drinking plenty of water because, man, I got dehydrated like crazy with that cold. Still got a little bit of a cough, but I'm better. But man, you take all those decongestants, like, you get so dried up, your throat basically just feels about as dry as, you know, being in the Grand Canyon. Yeah. Anyway. I've been enjoying my week off before I start the new job next week. I've already got the instructions to start next week. First day I'll be working from home. Basically doing the whole, you know, work from home thing, just the instructions, you know, little training you gotta do. How much good are you at math? Well, better than that English in that sentence, no offense. I'm alright. What's up, Fig? Bale? I think that's how you say it. What's up, Live and Learn? But yeah, just been enjoying the day. I did at least edit 4 different YouTube videos that I've been having in the docket for a while. So they're edited. I just got to make thumbnails for them and YouTube descriptions. So there's definitely going to be 4 coming about, and then 3 more videos I got to edit. And then I think I have like scripts for 3 more I got to record. So we're going to have a few videos coming out over the next month, so that'll be good. Of course, TikTok is always behind what goes on YouTube, because what goes on the TikTok is always just small clips of what I put out on YouTube. So if you want to be out on the latest and greatest, you should always be on the streams, in the Discord, in the Matrix server, following the Blue Sky, the Mastodon, and of course, you know, following the YouTubes. Because that's where most of the actual long-form content, well, the only long-form content really is. Like advanced classes. I mean, I haven't done advanced math in a while, but I still remember some complex algebra. Haven't had to do too much in a long while. But yeah. So. But we still got some content I need to catch up on in the review on stream column. I mean, we still got, like, I think, like, close to, about a week's worth or so. Yeah, we got quite a ways of stuff. So, hopefully we'll be able to catch that up soon. Which one would you recommend? BCS of AI plus CS, or BCS of Cybersecurity and Forensics? The honest truth is, it doesn't really matter what bachelor's you end up getting, because whatever bachelor's you end up getting is just going to get you conceptual knowledge at best, and you're going to learn more when you're actually in the field. I'm telling you this as somebody that's been in the field for 15 years and is going for their bachelor's right now. I'm blowing through my bachelor's stupid fast right now, and I'm not learning anything. So the honest thing is, what you have to learn about, think about it as, is the bachelor's is just a checkbox for HR. That's all it really is. So you can always shift later on. And it doesn't mean like, oh, if you're going to be, you know, doing this, that you're always going to be in that in your career for your entire life. For example, my dad had a bachelor's in mathematics and engineering, but he was doing computer engineering and was programming in Fortran and was doing an IT MSP. He's one of the people that taught me a lot about technology. So, put that in perspective. Just, you have to look at the idea of a college degree as a checkbox for HR. That's all it really is. The unfortunate reality is, when you're going to college and you're picking colleges, you're sold a bill of goods telling you college is a lot more than what it really is, but that's all it ends up being when you go out into the field. That's I don't know how to make it any nicer than that. That's the honest, brutal truth. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to, give you rose-colored glasses towards it. I'm just going to tell it to you straight. So just pick the course that you're going to do the best at and, get your degree to get the checkbox if you need to do it. But do you necessarily need the degree to go into the field? Not necessarily, because as I said, I've been in the field for 15 years and I'm just getting my bachelor's now. And I'm a senior cybersecurity engineer. I just got a senior cybersecurity engineer position without a bachelor's degree. Just with a CISSP and an associate's. What's up, Elizabeth? Why I hear people saying OSCP is entry level? No, well, OSCP is still rather entry level in the grand scheme of cybersecurity, because you have to understand cybersecurity is still rather entry level. Pentest Plus is probably more easier than OSCP. You're probably going to have to study up more than on that than OSCP, but you don't have to be as in depth into penetration testing to get an OSCP as a lot of people think you do. It does require 24 hours of testing. What is it, like 24 hours of pen test, 24 hours report, all that. Basically, from what one of my friends I think told me, was it's enumeration, because eventually I want to go for my OSCP, because red teaming is not something I'm well versed at. I'm more on the blue team side. But yeah, it's more of a time commitment than anything. Do you think having a foreign language degree and getting into OffSec is a plus? Foreign language doesn't matter as much as a lot of people think they do. A foreign language is a plus in a lot of ways, but not in a lot of different fields. It really depends on the company you're getting into. Like, if you're dealing with a company that happens to be dealing with multinational footprints, yeah, it may. But otherwise, not really. What should I do to avoid looking like you in the future? I don't know. I think I am doing pretty fine. Recommendations for absolute beginners. Home lab, tinker. Start with really entry-level jobs. Get your experience and chops going on, so that way you can actually build up. A lot of people focus too much on getting cert heavy before they actually get into heavier positions, because the problem is people will look at you as potentially being overqualified when you don't have enough experience, and you'll be chasing your tail for a lot of things, where it's like, I don't have I'm not qualified enough for this position, and they say I need experience and all that. So yeah, it's a cat and mouse game, unfortunately. You put Pop OS on Intel Mac and it keeps breaking. Well, it's an Intel Mac. I mean, I don't know what to help you with that one. Not a lot of people were putting Pop OS on that specific device, and you'd have to look up on the forums for people that do that. Without a community college degree, community college is fine. The reality is, I think people put too much emphasis on, like, oh, you need to get a degree from this place or that. The honest reality is, very few people care about where you went to college. As long as you're not coming from one of those degree mills and, like Columbia, like one of those places that's just like blatantly not legitimate, you're fine. There's a lot of community colleges that have very reputable programs. It's very cost effective. I know many people that, went to community colleges or even started at community colleges so that they can save a lot of money before they finish up in a 4-year degree at a more expensive university. Nothing wrong with community college. The cheese tax, the cheese tax, the cheese tax. When the puppy comes. What do I think about the XZUtils backdoor thing? We already talked about that a while ago. The XZUtils backdoor thing, I think what's interesting about that was it was discovered by somebody that was merely compiling a program, and they happened to be compiling something, and I think they found out it was a few milliseconds slower compiling something, and they dug into it, and they realized it was some XZUtils modifications. Which I think showcases the good things that come around with the nature of open source. Because when it comes to open source, I mean, we can all look at this stuff and see that, what is it, the Linus law, when many eyeballs are on a problem, all bugs are shallow. The good thing here in Spain is 1,500 plus 500 hours of internship, so you get the experience. Oh, nice. Just watched the video about it, and everything about it is just crazy from the creation to discovery. Yeah, what's even more crazy is that they had to spend years to gain that amount of trust to be able to get to that point, to be able to initiate such a backdoor. It's crazy when you think about it. Can you imagine what would have happened if it wasn't detected? Yeah. But I think it also paints a light on why we should be very cautious about rolling things out to the latest softwares, because what was it, like, I think like Fedora and a few other distributions had to issue people to roll back things because they were already having backdoored packages deployed. Like, Pop! OS was not affected because it's downstream of Ubuntu, and Ubuntu hadn't cleared that version yet. So it was really quite impressive that they even got as far as they did. And how fast it was discovered, nonetheless. Pardon me if I still sound a little weird. I'm still a little stuffed up from the cold. But I'm officially better. And I'm just trying to drink as much as I can to rehydrate the throat. Because it's just still dry. But, yeah. Alright, so we got a bunch of different videos that I know my community has been putting up for me to look at, to watch. From, TikTok and YouTube and all that other stuff. So let me see if I can get these up here. Alright. Let me get, reset Pipewire. Oh, I should have probably done this before the stream started. Alright, and let me get the audio going. And now we can probably have it going, working now. I should have probably set this up before I got the stream started, but it is what it is. Sometimes I forget to get that started.
Front, left.
Okay. Hey, Jessica. How's it going? Hi, heathens. It's Mr. Heathens to you. Okay, so what did HBX send over here? What the hell? Hello, TikTok. You just had a derpy error. Y'all are seeing this. TikTok worked and then it didn't. Welcome to TikTok. Is TikTok having an error right now? Pipewire? Pipewire is basically a new audio and slash, I think you can do video over it, back end. I've been using it for a few years. That's actually what I use to route audio so that I can have it go to both the capture card on this stream PC over here as well as to my headphones at the same time. Interesting. Wow, TikTok, you are being derpy. Okay. I don't know why it worked on Firefox. It's an audio share app. Kind of, sort of. It's an audio routing app. So on the back end, you have like ALSA, you have Pipe, ALSA, was it Jacked? What was the other audio? Pulse Audio. And basically, Pipewire makes a lot of that simpler. So, hold on. Let me see. Okay, for some reason, Florp was not liking... That's weird. Okay. For some reason, Florp is not cooperating with TikTok. So we'll just use Firefox for this. So glad we're paying. Wasn't even 9:30 this morning. I had to correct a Big 4 engineer about a big do. No. Street work. You seem like you know how to run my phone and laptop audio output to the same headphones. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's see. What is this that HBX sent over?
In-car 5G Wi-Fi system broadcasting. Sophia plots it instantly. As distance shift, signal strength update, same node, new position. This isn't identifying a vehicle. It's mapping RF active hardware. Here we've got Circle K's
Got enough phones there, buddy?
IoT hardware, clean beacon, proper placement. Here we've got a GMC infotainment system and a Flock safety external battery pack with a BLE beacon. Sophia runs on stock Android hardware. No root, no external antenna. The HUD visualizes publicly broadcast Wi-Fi and BLE systems in real time. Private, commercial, municipal, all mapped as infrastructure. Signal and...
I mean, yeah, this seems very easy to do with phones. I mean, you could do a lot of that without having multiple phones. You could really just have an SDR. Like, what is it? Like the Kraken device? We actually talked about this in another stream. Hold on. What was it? I'm gonna pull it up. The Kraken. It was one of those devices that I want to get, but I can't justify the money. Yeah, here we are. So the Kraken SDR. Something like this. You can do the same thing with something like this. So what an SDR is a software-defined radio. So essentially it has a wide range you can hone in on. So this has 5 different radios inside of there. So you can have it listening to 5 different things all at once. And this can do, this one specifically, 24 megahertz to 66 megahertz. Now, you can get different kinds of SDRs out there. There are ones that can, do various range out there. And there's ways you can step them up with additional devices. This is just one example. But you can find, the reason why I wanted this one in particular was you could actually map this out and even map out where, you were finding these devices and even triangulate the position of those. Now, of course, this is sub 2 gigahertz, so you would want to probably look at something different. So as they compare over here, like you have this Roden Schwartz over here that you can do 20 to 8,000 megahertz. Obviously, that's probably going to be a little bit more expensive, so we can probably pull that guy up over there. Yeah, that's definitely going to be a little bit more expensive. The second it says, get a quote, yeah, that's going to be expensive. It's one of those, if you have to ask how much it is, you can't afford it kind of situations. But there's tons of SDRs out there to do the same thing. But software-defined radios can definitely do a lot of this stuff. And for how much he's probably spending to use all those phones, he could probably do better with an SDR, I'm just saying. Yeah, there's plenty of their SDRs out there. But yeah, I mean, publicly broadcast Wi-Fi, BLE systems, in-car 5G nodes, retail IoT. You don't need to have that many phones. He's got 4 different phones. Can you do it that way? Absolutely. You could probably just all tie it into one device and then just map it in and route it through one device, but meh, to each their own. Alright, what's the next thing on the list? Vampire has Bricko laughs. What is your craziest wish? From Brick Comedy. Oh, this is a Lego thing?
What is your craziest wish?
I wish there's a highway from Oregon to Japan.
Are you serious? You know how much material you would need? Not to mention the tides, waves, and storms? It's impossible. Wish for something else.
All right, I wish to understand women.
Would that be 1 lane or 2? What is your crazy...
Thoughts on The Last Debian with KDE? It's a thing. Okay, Steam wins lawsuit against Evil Corp. Oh yeah, I've been seeing Steam won a lawsuit. Well, actually, Steam's been in several lawsuits going on right now. Which one's this talking about?
Happy news! Because Valve just had a legal victory against Rothschild and his numerous companies over Rothschild trying to patent troll Steam. To understand, a patent troll is a person or company that doesn't actually make anything, but just buys up or registers broad and vague patents to...
Can we just make a point that we have to now, because of Gen Z brain rot, have fast-moving items in the background for a lot of people to pay attention? Because I just find that distracting, where I just want to pay attention to the information going on.
Then use these patents to sue companies, basically forcing them into an expensive legal battle or pay them fines. And this is exactly what Rothschild did with Valve. They repeatedly sued them over patents in 2022 and 2023, one of which was basically a patent that covers the storing of audio and video in the cloud-based environment. But what they didn't account for is that they apparently forgot that Rothschild's company made a deal with Valve in 2016 that gave Valve a license to use every patent under Rothschild's portfolio, which stretches over fucking pages. And because of that, in response to those 2 lawsuits, Valve counter-sued Rothschild's company, plus Rothschild himself and his lawyers. The best part is, Valve won on every single dispute and claim, with Rothschild and companies having to pay $153,457 in damages, one of which was legitimately a single dollar, which I found funny. It is just a bunch of legal talk basically saying Steam fucked the hell out of Rothschild.
Suing you for a singular dollar is literally the equivalent of just legal pettiness. I hope to one day be that level of fuck you and money to just sue a person for $1 just to be in the right, just to be that way. Like, speaking of which, like, did you hear about the whole Louis Rossmann DMCA lawyer thing that's going on? Oh, it was, like, amazing. If you haven't seen that, you should definitely go watch his video. It's like a half hour, so we're not going to dive into it. But The long and short of it is, there's this DMCA lawyer that's been, like, using some provision in the DMCA to, like, F over people around the fair use, whatever, something like that. And it's something that doesn't make sense. And he is such an unethical bastard that Louis Rossmann is like, you are now going to be my little bitch. And, like, he is going after this dude. Who's into SETI? I used to be in SETI. That was a fun thing back in the day. So Ember, the smart mug company, dabbled in shipping solutions during COVID era. Work was getting rid of them, and I got it for free. I'll send a pic, but it's really neat. Ooh. Probably not about the money. No, it's definitely not about the money. Like, Valve definitely is at the point where they know they have enough money that at this point they're just doing it to F with people. Well, like, if they know they're in the right here, they're just doing it to F with them. Shall we put it that way? Okay, so... Let's see. Is TikTok gonna be nice with Florp now? Okay, now it is. I don't know what happened earlier. So what's this?
This is the open topic. Just dropped Claude Cowork for $100 a month, but this is the open source version. Meet Open Claude Cowork. It gives you that same agentic power, creating files, organizing folders, and running commands. But it runs locally and works with any model, even DeepSeek or open source LLMs.
Okay.
It basically turns your AI into an autonomous employee that actually has permission to do the work. Anthropic.
I mean, don't get me wrong, that's cool and all. The thing that worries me about all this agentic work is people are giving too wide of permission for these machines to do things on their networks and their machines, that it's opening up too much of a liability, too much of a security risk, too much of just it doing the wrong thing. Like, where I'm not against agentic work, but when I have my LLMs do agentic work, I have it only allowed to do read-only stuff without permission. Like, you need to read anything in my system, in terms of my source code and all that. You need a ls, you need a grep, you need a wc, you need to, sed. Okay, yeah, you can, read it, all day long, no problem. But the second you go to modify or write, I need to intervene. And I think a lot of people, it is very worrisome. Like, Yitz was telling me, at his work, the head of engineering... Oh, Jessica, this is gonna, you're gonna lose some hair over this. The head of engineering where he was working at let Claude Cowork work overnight and close 30 tickets. You let an AI run overnight, process and run, and do all the work of 30 tickets for software, making all the changes, the bug fixes, the writing code, all of that, the verifications, everything, without human input. How much agency are you allowing these devices to have without a human being in the loop? That is extremely dangerous. You're gonna do this at Lorky. I'm gonna smack the shit out of you, Barrett. He's my friend, I can say that. Can't wait for Pete Hegseth to let Claude start dropping nukes. Pete Hegseth is the person that Terminator warned us about with Skynet, okay? When we were watching Terminator 1, and they were like, hey, Skynet came alive, and we gave it agency and autonomy to, make decisions. Pete Hegseth was the person there. If we could go back in time and just Photoshop his ass into the movie, science fiction turns to science reality. Love your information regarding AI trajectory. Appreciate it. Told my friend that Terminator 3 Military Palace. Bro, I am organically competing with Pete's new site, SMH. That is how bad they're... Oh yeah, you showed me. Like, how apparently the DoD somehow showed up on, as somehow a competitor on ASMs. I don't know how that happened. Change management is having a meltdown. Yeah, like, it's so weird that, like, people are, like, freaking out about AI. Like, don't get me wrong. It's a powerful tool, but I think where AI currently is, it's not going to be where a lot of people think it's going to go with the current state of technology. Knowing that, what is it? I think, like, last we talked, Anthropic is making 4 cents on the dollar. For every dollar invested, they're making 4 cents. Not only that, there is an extreme amount of diminishing returns on training LLMs to be better. Wrong type of defense. Oh. BRB, I need to train an AI on how to escape the internet and destroy all the other AIs. Vampire's over here training the Matrix. So, Vampire, are you going to be Neo, or are you turning into Trinity? Powerful tool, yes, but I was explaining to a new director that all the data one of our LLM is touching has not been verified for accuracy. Oh, yeah, like, there has been cases where I've seen this on some Reddit posts where people were saying that, like, they've actually, like, been running on all of this data for months that their LLM was feeding them, only to realize months later that the data was not even accurate, and they were doing all of these market trajectories and analysis and positionings and logistics based on analytics that were completely wrong. And, like, people were like, and they're like, well, what should I do? And people like, you better write up your resume because you're going to be losing your job. Let's talk about AI. I'm not going to say that word, effing up their training data. Let's not forget about that. AI using AI to cite more AI. Yes, the Ouroboros of AI. The enshittification of AI. What do you call that? The dead internet theory. You need to watch Matrix. You know, the interesting thing about the Matrix was the original premise the Wachowski siblings had for the Matrix was not that the humans were supposed to be the batteries of the robots. They were supposed to be the memory of the robots. But back in the time of the 90s, explaining to the average person what computer memory was would be a much more complicated subject than just explaining to them that they are energy sources. And when you put it through the lens of the humans are the memory storage, it makes a lot more sense. Anthropic Claude didn't have its BS money staving greed usage for the Pro plan. I would love it, but having a request to refund 2 times in 1 month is horrible money. Yeah, well, it is what it is. Unfortunately, Claude has the better frontier LLM. I'm using Claude via GitHub Copilot Pro Plus. I'm not using it direct through Claude. But I am at the point where Yitz and I have been agreeing we want to get NVIDIA DGX Sparks or Dell GB10s, get 2 of them, connect them together over ConnectX 7 so we can run our own LLMs locally, because we have a fear, and I'm sure some of you have been thinking about this. With the way the government is going right now, and, you know, Claude has been, Anthropic has been having the ethical boundary of, we don't want our LLM to be used for mass surveillance or to be used to kill humans without a human being in the loop. which is a sensible line in the sand to be drawn for anyone. That the government's going to force that to be done anyway, and the government has laws that could force their way to backdoor into a system and use the system anyway and have them rewrite it the way they want, that I'm like, we may need to depend more on open source systems anyways. We may want to lean more towards an open source, self-hosted LLM. And I know some people right now are like, this sounds like you're being a little bit conspiratorial and, you know, crazy here, Chief. But look, I was the same guy that was also saying for years about the government's probably, you know, siphoning all of our data through telecommunications networks. And then everyone thought we were crazy. And then Edward Snowden said, yep, they're doing that. And then, you know, like a bunch of, like, what was it? Like, for many years, we were saying, oh, yeah, you should probably be careful of what data you're putting out there because, you know, that could be used against you. Oh, you're just, you know, paranoid of that. Now everyone's worried about that. Today's paranoia is tomorrow's reality, is what I've learned. Yeah, self-hosted LLM makes more sense. The issue is more of the infrastructure around hosting it. You can't be in the cyber field and not trust the government. Have some conspiracy theories. I don't have conspiracy theories. I have theories that have been yet to be proven. You should watch Dust Beyond the End of the World anime. Chief is drunk. I'm actually sober. I've only been drinking sparkling water. Unless the Germans have made sparkling alcoholic water. Wouldn't surprise me. But no, this isn't that. You made a video about crossing streaming I watched, hoping you can help. Crossing streaming. What do you mean crossing? Oh, cross streaming. What about cross streaming? I'm doing it right now. Stream on TikTok and have a good community on here. Just looking on for a good platform to cross stream. So I cross stream to TikTok, Twitch, Kick, and YouTube. I'm on 4 platforms all at once. I use ATA multi-stream on OBS, use the stream key on OBS with TikTok to blast it out to the 3 other platforms. I use the NVIDIA 5050 GPU because NVIDIA 5000, well, technically at least the 3000 series, allows you to have up to 8 encoding streams, but you can kind of do more, you kind of limit it around 4 when you're actually looking at the GPU processing. You're gonna need plenty of upload. I have 40 megabits of upload. If you have 3 6 megabit upload streams for 1080p, and then you have one 720p for TikTok at 2500 megabits with about 192 kilobits per second of audio per stream, you do pretty well. And then you have to optimize your network traffic for RTMP and QoS and lots of other stuff that I've done. But yeah, it can be done. Can you do it from your phone? No, you cannot do it. You cannot do it from your phone. This is, I solely have a desktop dedicated for this. Your phone, you're going to be able to do one stream at a time. Get a coworker, not trust the gov and an infosec. Yeah. Look, the reality is, I don't know many people in cybersecurity that are actually trustful of government. Now, I'm not saying necessarily they're anti-government, okay? There's a difference between being untrustful of government and being anti-government. There's differences there. you can be untrustful of government and see the necessity of government. But there are people that also don't believe government is necessary at all. But I would have to say that pretty much if you're in cybersecurity, you have to be in the camp of you're not really trustworthy of people. And I don't mean that in the very crude, asshole-ish way, but the reality is the human is the weakest link and the number one problem of security problems. And that is the answer to the question on whenever you're in a security test. Oh, what is the number one vulnerability? The human. Review on Shroom's channel. Look, that will be a channel that may exist when I retire one day. But for now, sobriety, I think I have to stay on. Bro is zero trust the government. I'm zero trust, period. Like, anyone who's had to go through dating me knows, like, you don't get my real phone number out first. Look, if you are in cybersecurity and you only have one phone number, that's rookie level shit. I'm just saying. Almost everyone I know in cybersecurity has at least 3 phone numbers. Live like EA and challenge everything. You're a rookie. Yeah, you have 4. Sounds expensive. Nah, phone numbers are cheap. You can get them cheap with VoIP systems, and there's Google Voice. You can get them for free. There's other systems out there where you can get them inexpensively. You can get burner phones where you just pay for a few minutes and stuff like that, and you just have to keep them active. Realistically, once you have the phone number active, you just forward it. You got 10 phone numbers. See? You have 2. One VoIP and the other is my main phone number. See? You got 3 Google Voice. Yeah, see? You use carrier pigeon. Oh, yeah! Good old, what is it? RFC. What was the, what was the carrier over IP? RFC 2549. If you do not know what this is, there was RFC 2549, which amends RFC 1149. And if you don't know what this is an actual internet standard. This is a standard for the transmission of IP datagrams over avian carriers. This documents how you can actually transmit IP packets over pigeons. It's real. Of course, this was an April Fool's thing in 1990. Now, it was later amended by RFC 2549 in 1999 on April 1st, which is IP over avian carriers now with quality of service. So now we have a way to, prioritize those, pigeon carriers of IP packets. Believe it or not, I'm completely sober. We still using SMS in 2026? I'll have my OpenClaw contact your OpenClaw. Yeah, people are still using SMS. He's always this weird chat. Yeah, Parrot's known me for a few years. Hey boss, just switched over from medical field and currently doing full-time as a student. Switched to Linux 6 to 9 months and haven't looked back. It's been fun learning. Nice. About a non-functional phone at a flea market just for 911 to stay anonymous when I call them. That's actually a really great thing to do. So one thing I always recommend people to do, if you ever have phones that you need, old phones, just any old phones, donate them to battered women's shelters. You know, the women that, you know, are victims of domestic violence, things like that. They give them to women. So that way, because all phones in the United States must at least be able to call 911 even if they don't have service. And these women can at least have that life-saving line. It is very important that a lot of people have the ability to, one, know that that's a thing, and two, have access to that thing. You should use Arch Linux next. No! By the way, Parrot, in one of my upcoming videos, there are Arch Linux jokes. I edited that video today. I think that's going to be one of the next ones coming out. I edited 4 videos today for YouTube. I have 3 more to edit. I gotta make the thumbnails and the descriptions. But that video is the myth of the best Linux distribution. And really, it's just basically going in on there is no such thing as the best Linux distribution. But I do haze Arch users. Look, if there's an opportunity, I'ma take it. He's just jealous, chat. No! I think you're just jealous of, you know, my glorious, you know, guns. That's why I think you're running in the opposite direction, Parrot. Catchy OS sounds hot. I keep hearing people like catchy, but, you know, it doesn't sound so catchy to me. Okay, so let's see. There was this TikTok video here from Kara a while ago. GitHub suspends this lady's account for creating a tool to sift through the Epstein files. Yeah. Is Satya Nadella in the list? Oh, did they restore her account? So, did they actually give the official reason for what happened? Oh, hold up. Sorry.
A Chrome extension. So GitHub suspended my account. I created a Chrome extension that makes it easier to look through the Epstein files. It allows you to look at all of the media files that were mislabeled as PDFs. There is nothing.
By the way, there's someone in my local DEF CON group that made a program that's similar to find the multimedia extensions for this. That was the one that I shared in my announcements, by the way. So if any of y'all need to get that, I'm gonna put that in the links for y'all, chat. That's my buddies. This is one of my buddies. This is not the lady that we're talking about right now, but that's another one that he made that to find, you know, multimedia files that were in there.
Malicious about this extension. There's no like hacking involved or anything like that. It's really simple. It's all totally normal code, and it's really just an accessibility tool. But a couple hours after I posted the link to it, my GitHub account was shut down. I couldn't log in. This was the message that they gave me. So I contacted them to figure out what was going on, and they said they weren't really sure. but it could take up to 6 months, and I had to appeal to get my account back, basically.
Imagine your account's down for like 6 months, because I use my account for like, my account is my profile for so many different things. That would be a problem.
So that was pretty frustrating. I got a hold of them again today, and they said that I didn't violate any terms of service and they are going to restore my account. So I'm working on that. But I just wanted to give an update to everybody who had clicked on that link and was wondering what happened and why there was nothing there. And if you do want to get the plugin and the instructions, the best place to get that is from following me on Substack, in case, I don't know, this account gets shut down somehow as well.
Okay, so it's a couple hours later, but GitHub gave me my account back, so my link is back up in my stories. The Google extension store rejected my extension because you're not...
Oh yeah, of course. Google doesn't want you to be able to, you know, find that kind of stuff.
Allowed to use these keywords in the description, and that is exactly what my extension does, which is stupid. So I'm just gonna remove those keywords and resubmit, and hopefully it'll be on the extension store soon. I'm working on Firefox and Safari, but again, this really is just an accessibility tool for anybody who wants to use the DOJ website and view those files without having to go through guess and check, and it also allows you to view the videos without downloading files onto your computer. So hoping anyone who wants this can use it, but wanted to give an update.
Let's see. Click below for more info on the extension. Welcome to TikTok, where your site goes derp in the night! Like, you see this, right? You see this. Well, TikTok's being a dick, for one. Alright, so hold on. Let me see if I can open up one of my other freaking browsers. Don't you love how you, like, have to do all these workarounds to make it work? Okay, she doesn't really have a link. I don't know. If somebody wants to grab the link for me, that'd be great, so I can take a look at it. But yeah. Opinions on S26 Ultra's privacy display. It looks cool. I haven't taken a look at the Samsung S26, and the honest truth is, I don't really have a lot of faith in Samsung because they tend to be one of the most bloated in terms of all the crap they load on the phones, and one of the most chatty phones in the network. I mean, I have a Samsung S23. That thing is one of the most chatty motherfuckers on my network. Like, seriously, I have this iPhone. Yeah, it's like a little tweets, little beep, 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 beep. You know, got the Graphene OS phone with the Pixel 7a, like, silence. And then Samsung's over like, ha! Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you, but that's basically how it is. Anything more secure than Cube's OS? I'm going outside and touching grass. Tin cans and string. Talking to people. No, not in terms of fact. No. The real question, did her account get banned temp, or was this a stunt for free advertisement? Who knows? Alright. Let's get back to where we were on the review on stream thing. Okay. I shouldn't have scrolled that far. But I did, so here we are. Okay. Alright, 3 hackers just exposed the truth behind age checks. I think we've already talked a little bit about this. OpenAI, Persona, government. Oh yeah, we've talked a little bit about
These three hackers accidentally just found a huge surveillance system that was hiding behind age checks. You see, Celeste, MDL, and Desirwa were looking for ways to bypass the age verification provider called Persona.
Yeah, I think we talked about this.
Companies started using them recently, including platforms like Roblox and Discord. But according to this massive report they just posted, what they accidentally found instead was that apparently Persona, OpenAI, and the US government were using face scans to build an identity surveillance system that basically confirms what people already suspected about.
Hey! Somebody did a sub. I know it cut me off. Thank you for the sub there, the Radish Prince. Thank you for that Prime sub. I appreciate you, buddy. I don't know why it cut off the, the sub sound. Stream Elements has been, a bit derpy. Should do a tour of your setup. Welcome to welcome MTV. This is my crib. That is a really dated reference. I just really aged myself, didn't I? This is where the magic happens. No, no, no. That's another room in the house.
Age checks. So apparently Persona left a front end connected to a US government authorized server with over 2,000 internal files just sitting there completely exposed. And the most important findings were that when you submit a face scan or a government ID,
I love how he has the McLovin thing just on hand. Like, seriously, if I ever have to do a face scan, I am giving them a McLovin face ID.
both of them get put on a watch list that starts tracking you under 13 different list types, from digital fingerprints and device IDs all the way to geolocation, and the system can even...
Look, I'm just gonna say something. If I'm not already on a government list, and I'm just gonna put it out there, if y'all that are watching the stream are not on some government list already, we all should be collectively really disappointed. And I don't mean that in like some negative, nefarious way. For those of you that are not aware, DHS years ago used to determine anyone that was a Linux user, anyone that cared about open source, anyone that actually just believed in privacy as a potential threat. Like, seriously, not a joke. Like, and this isn't like, oh, this was like, you know, some weird... This happened even under the Obama years. Like, no, not even a crazy thing. It's an honor to be on the list. That's what I'm saying. Like, and people think I make this shit up, but no, this is an actual thing. Linux users DHS list. Hold on. I need to find this because this was like a decade ago. Linux users Department of Homeland Security list. I gotta find this. This was in Linux Mag. Okay. I think this was it. Hold on. No, that's something else. That's from Cato for something else. That's irrelevant to that. Bear with me. Hold on. Was it Linux Journal? DHS, Linux users. No, it was the NSA. Sorry. It was the NSA. God damn it. That site's dead. Okay, hold on. I need to figure this out. There's gotta be... Hold on. Okay, there's gotta be something on archive.org. Aha! Gotcha, bitch. See, I told you, I'm not crazy. Well, I am, but not about this! NSA classifies Linux journal readers, Tor and Tails Linux users as extremists. Okay? See? 2014. All right? I wasn't making this up. I was not making this up. This has been a thing for a while. That's why I jokingly say if I'm not on a list, I would be sorely disappointed. Because for years, anyone who was considered even somewhat of a privacy advocate or an activist or an open source activist was considered an extremist by the NSA, DHS, whatever. That's why I say, like, I would be really shocked if we're not on some sort of a list. Because look, this happened even under the Obama years. You know, cool old Obama. That's why I always say, like, don't matter, Democrat, Republican, yes, government, they all suck. Don't get me wrong, Obama seems like a chill dude. I'd still like to have a beer with him. But government, in general, just still sucks. You get my point. Anyway.
Track any crypto addresses you might connect to for a total of 269 verification checks.
Oh, connect to any cryptocurrency you can connect to. Challenge accepted! Find my Monero address.
That get tied to a single identity. And the craziest part is that these hackers didn't break the law to find all this data. This information was just left completely exposed for anybody that knew exactly where to look. These three hackers...
Yep. Thought it was bad I was a gang member because of ICP. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I forgot. Insane Clown Posse was considered a gang, according to the FBI. The whole Hatchet Man thing got, like, that whole thing. Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. Do I like Insane Clown Posse? No. I don't get it. I don't care for them. I think the music is kind of dumb. But to each their own. I'm not going to hate on you for liking them. You know, everyone's going to have their own taste. I also don't like country. Some people like country. I don't. Okay? All right, so, oh, and Kara gave me the GitHub address for this. Nice. Kind of surprised there weren't that many stars on it. So, her extension is, oh, it's just a simple little JavaScript thing. Interesting. I'll have to take a look at it later. Wonder what else she has written. Oh, literally just that. Interesting. Okay, cool. I was just curious. All right, moving on. In the ever declining piece of society that we have, AI companies have not only bought out SSDs and RAM, they have bought out all of Western Digital's hard drives for 2026 already. Hard drives. Spinning rust. Well, chat, we're effed. We're boned. It's already impossible to get GPUs. It's already impossible to get RAM. It's already impossible to get SSDs. It's already impossible to get hard drives. Like, what else are we supposed to do at this point? And this is so effed. Because I was also planning on getting bigger disks for my NAS. Why buy a hard drive? Simple. A lot of because spinning disks, you still get a lot more bang for your buck in terms of data density. So with a lot of these data sets, they'll still put them on so enterprise disks, there are still spinning disks used in enterprise. Now, they're not the traditional SATA 7200K 7200 RPM disks we think of. They're more SAS, serial attached SCSI, 10,000 RPM, 15,000 RPM hard drives. Those are the ones that tend to be in an enterprise. So, yeah. But they end up being cheaper than NVMe and other NAND flash storage and all that stuff. So when they're creating all this data and they're training this data, they need to store that data somewhere. Now, in the long term of storage, they're probably going to store it on tape, for an extreme long-term data backup. But they're going to need something interim. So they're probably going to have the hot data on an SSD. They're going to have the warm data on a hard drive. And then they're going to have the cold data on tape. Or some combination thereof. Coding and vibe coding with AI. Explain. What's there to explain? You have coding companions that you can help actually write code for you. I've done it millions of times. Here. I've literally had it rewrite some code over here. It's a lot quicker for me to have it go through and make the changes and then me make sure the logic makes sense than it is for me to figure out the logic. This is what a lot of people don't seem to understand. And I've gotten into arguments with people in my own TikTok little posts where they're like, you should just, do the work yourself because it's going to be a lot better if you do it yourself. You're still going to have to double check the work. And I'm like, I'm not saying you're going to have to you should still double check the work. It's still going to be quicker for it to do the work and then me double check its work than it will be for me to do the work and then still double check the work. Basically, it's a difference of me spending hours or days to complete projects that would take me days, weeks, or even months to complete. What motherboard did you use for the Franken LLM machine? My spare AM4 doesn't have enough to have the PCIe lanes for it. I don't know, just a gigabyte something 570. I can't remember what the line was. It was a cheap one I got at Micro Center. I threw a Ryzen 5700 in because that was the cheap CPU Micro Center had for $70 each. Gatekeeping coding is something I never understood from people in the field. It's because a lot of them are a little bit too salty over the fact that a lot of the semantics over coding is now being easily replaced by people that can come in and do a lot of the same things. And now a lot of those things can be easily done by other people that now, as long as they understand the technical fundamentals, can do the same things a lot better. Now we have to focus on the conceptuals and making sure that as long as you are testing it, making sure it's not erroring out and there aren't any fundamental flaws, it will work just as well. A lot of these people unfortunately have the mentality of, well, I suffered to get to this point and you should have to suffer too. In the same way that I joke about, look, I got bullied for the fact that I liked anime growing up and now it's cool and I believe that everyone that likes anime too should at least get one swirly. I joke about it, but those people actually mean it. You get what I mean by that? I'm in the middle of my Linux from scratch pilgrimage. So my question is, am I dumb or crazy? Yes! I'm sorry. You kind of just left yourself open for that one. Exactly, it is really sad, man. We must move to change or be moved regardless. Yeah, well, the thing I tell people is, and I have an entire video that will be coming up talking about this, because I have an entire video. You can't trust vibe coding security issues. So these two are going to center around vibe coding, if you can't tell. So I'm going to be talking about it. But there's going to be a term I'm going to be introducing that I hope actually hits the mainstream, which I've been saying for many months now, called vibe checking. Vibe coding, I believe, is okay as long as you're vibe checking, which I take that to mean as you can code along with how you're doing things to make sure everything's working the way you want, but you need to be checking things so that it's doing the things that you need to do, that it's being secure and, not having issues. Have I played around with CloudBot on Linux? No. I have issues fundamentally with running things agentically from a system. I do not want to unleash a agentic AI to do things. And the honest truth is, I've already made a rule for anyone that's thinking of doing it in my Discord server. La 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 la. No agentic AI posting on your behalf. That is a server rule I made. It's also technically a Discord TOS rule. But that is a rule for my server, and my Matrix server, to make that clear, too. And if you are running a bot, you must actually denote that you are a bot. I run bots, but they're denoted that they are bots. Like my Yo Mama as a service bot, which does Yo Mama jokes. Anyway. Where are we at? I lost my place. I get too ADHD. Okay. Made in EU. It was harder than I thought. This is interesting, because I remember we watched a video a while ago of a gentleman that was making a barbecue scrubber in the USA, and it was a lot harder than he thought it would be, because he could not make the thing entirely in the USA, because you can't even do a lot of the parts in the USA anymore. Now, it's kind of interesting to see this perspective in other places. I tried building my startup entirely on European infrastructure. Here's the stack I landed on, what was harder than expected, and what you still can't avoid. So this is interesting because it's not a manufacturer, but rather a software perspective. And I think this is going to be something that's going to be more of an issue as time goes on, because of the increase in the rise of data sovereignty laws. More countries are now having laws that the data that is being hosted about their citizenry must be hosted local to that country. I believe like Germany has a law like that, and several other countries now. So obviously data sovereignty, GDPR simplicity, not having your entire business dependent on 3 American hyperscalers, and honestly a bit of stubbornness. I wanted to prove it could be done. So, okay, Hetzner, I kind of expected they were going to use Hetzner. They're actually a pretty good one. I've used them when I lived overseas in Germany. Scaleway, haven't really used them, but I've heard good things. Bunny.net, never really heard of them. Okay. Nebius, AI Inference, never heard of them. Honko. Hanko? Honko? I don't know how you say that. You know, AI chatbots got their own website, no human involved. The problem is, what are they for? That's my problem. It seems like a problem that, you know, it seems like a solution people are trying to just find a problem they're solving, or whatever, however that saying is. Whatever. Anyway. Self-hosting, Rancher. So Rancher, I think that's a Kubernetes manager, if I'm not mistaken. Things got fun and time-consuming. Self-hosted a surprising amount. Gitty for source control. Kind of interesting they went with Gitty. Plausible. 20 CRM. In physical for secrets management. Okay. Bug sync for error tracking. All running on Kubernetes with Rancher as the glue keeping the whole cluster sane. Is self-hosting more work than SaaS? That was going to be my question. Obviously, but it means my data stays exactly where I put it. Right. For email, Tutanota keeps things encrypted in European. Interesting. I was wondering why they didn't go with Proton, because Proton is European as well, but I mean, either one. Uptime robot watches the monitors so you can sleep. The parts that were hard. Transactional email became with competitive pricing. SendGrid, Postmark, Mailgun, they all make it trivial easy and sure EU options exist. One that okay, so you couldn't find a email system that really worked as well as SendGrid, Postmark, and Mailgun. I'm familiar with Mailgun the most. Leaving GitHub. If you live in GitHub's ecosystems, actions, issues, code review, workflows, and social graph, walking away feels like you're leaving a city you've lived in for a decade. You know everything, where everything is. GitHub is actually excellent. I'd recommend it without hesitation for the core Git experience. Yeah. I mean, GitHub is pretty much where I go for a lot. Domain TLD pricing. This one is just baffling. Certain TLDs cost significantly more when purchased through European registrars. Talking 2 to 3 times markups on extensions that are cheap everywhere else. Interesting. I wonder why that is. Things you can't realistically avoid. Google Ads and Apple's developer programs. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you're still dependent upon those American ecosystems. The social logins, people still want you to do Google and Apple logins. Makes sense. AI, if you want Claude, and I very much want Claude, it's Anthropic. Yeah, the EU AI ecosystem's still not there. So you can do a lot of it, apparently, but you can't really do everything. That's kind of interesting. Why Rancher? That was apparently just their choice. I hear good things about Rancher. I haven't used it much, but that was just their choice. Wait till you hear some of the dumb shit Gov is trying to use AI for. Oh, I know! Alright. We did that video. Alright. What's this TikTok video that,
Alright, I just need to make a quick video because this is pretty incredible. I have an OpenClaw bot that created its own Etsy shop. It created its own program to watch my 3D printer with the PTZ camera and Raspberry Pi. It decided that it could, it decided what it wanted to print by looking online. And at first it printed a Mac Mini little base plate, you know, holder for a Mac Mini that could go under a desk. And that's great. But then it went and decided that it couldn't find any Raspberry Pi holders for a desk or for a wall. So by itself, using OpenSCAD, it designed its own holder. It then helped me to connect my Mini, my A1 Mini to
See, the only problem with this is it's a fucking bamboo! Okay, if you don't know, I hate bamboo printers because of the company behind them. The printers themselves are pretty nice, but the company behind them has done some unethical things where they've locked down the printers that you can't modify the firmware and stuff like that. But if I could potentially do OpenClaw, do a camera, tie it into a 3D printer to tell it to do its own 3D printing thing like that, I'd be interested to do that with a Prusa. I'd be interested to do that on a very limited capacity with a Prusa.
The local network so that it would have developer access, and it sliced using OpenSlicer's API and then sent this sliced file over to the printer as G-code, and then was able to print by itself. And look at there, we just finished and it's done. Pretty simple print. I think we've got one little mess up right there, but other than that, it looks great. So what this is one of these Raspberry Pis would actually screw in right here with some M2 bolts. We've got a couple right there. We'll try this out, see if it works. And anyway, again, I think the most incredible part about this is the printer decided what to print by itself, and then it listed this on Etsy by itself as well, and then it's selling it. And the only directive I really gave it, I gave it some ideas, but the directive I gave it is basically, look, I'm paying $100 for Claude Max for you. You have 1 month to survive and do as best you can. And after creating a Trello board, and after creating the Etsy shop, and then a plan, I told it, I'm your employee. I can physically take things off the board for you, and I can physically ship things. But I'm going to give you access to, I also gave it an email address and a bank account. So we'll see how it goes.
Ew!
But pretty awesome.
I don't think I could give it a bank account. That is like, no. No. I would stop short of that. Now, I would connect ClaudeBot to a printer and a camera and say, I do all this shit, design some shit for me. I'd be interested to see what it comes up with. That I would do. But I'm not giving it access to a bank account. Yeah, that's not a healthy relationship with AI. No. I think people are getting way too comfortable with AI. Like, this is like, have y'all ever seen the TV show The Orwell? Remember when that race of the robots kills their owners? I feel like that's gonna happen. Have y'all seen iRobot? When the robots take over, that's gonna happen. All right, we're gonna take a quick break for a second. I have to take a bio break and hit the head, and then we're gonna get back to watching some more stuff, and hanging out and going through some stuff. But yeah, that movie where AI planned to kill world leaders by bombing them, pretty much. All right, so give me like 2 minutes. I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and we shall be right back. Yes, the Kalon story arc. Wait, why is my... God damn it. I just realized that my, Twitch chat was not working right. Hold up. Wait, where is it? Oh, come on. There we go. I was wondering why, like, the Twitch chat wasn't coming through. For some reason, the Twitch window closed out. There we go. Now it's working. Any tips for a dev trying to transition into network-leaning IT? Any specific tools? Really, it's just, learning networking as a whole. I mean, I learned a lot of my stuff through home labbing by learning, pfSense. The pfSense manual taught me a whole shit ton. So if you, get a spare computer, a network interface card, a couple of them that are Intel based, you can do a lot with that in a managed, switch and managed access point. That's how I taught a lot of my networking to myself. And of course, you're more than welcome to come to the Discord and we can walk you through a lot of that stuff. Alright. What's this? Why the biggest radio telescope is practically useless. Okay, so why are you
useless? If I put up this microwave right here, I'd face a fine of about $18,000. I'm standing in a place where microwaves, cell phone service, Wi-Fi, and even electric cars are banned. All because of that. All that mess so that maybe someday that thing can catch a glimpse of extraterrestrial life. Despite all this effort, despite isolating hundreds of thousands of people, today the National Radio Quiet Zone is in danger. I had been dying to know.
What the hell is what the, Okay. Thought it was like being...
Why someone would choose to live here and how life is without the burden of these infinite waves. So last week, I literally went off the grid, visiting some of the people who chose to live in the NRQZ. And what I discovered is that our best chance to ever find out if we're alone in the universe might just disappear. So let's get sci-fi for a sec. Imagine that the aliens actually sent us a message from space. Where would we listen? Where would we catch this message? You've probably seen this one in the movies. This is the Very Large Array, not to be confused with the Very Large Telescope or the Extremely Large Telescope, because, you know, astronomers aren't great at naming things. But the point is, that's not the observatory that would catch this message. There's a much more powerful one. That's where we're headed. But for that one to work, we need silence. So this is Chicago downtown. I'm not exactly sure what this means because this is for like a video that we're going to shoot in a few weeks, but yeah, here's the measurement. This thing is an EF radiation detector. It basically shows how strong electromagnetic waves are flying around me. I've been traveling with this thing to a fair amount of places and just testing out how noisy they are. Here at the airport, it's been oscillating between, you know, 5...
Must be nice to just drive around and be like, hey, yeah.
Cities, supposedly, this should probably...
Here's how much EMF's around me.
Microwatts per square centimeter. Maybe that measurement I took earlier was skewed because I put the thing too close to the camera. But either way, this is way, way too loud. If we want to listen to what's out there, we need quiet.
What's out there, man? I want to believe. Hold on, I need to close out some of these tabs, I think. For some reason, it felt like it was stuttering. Not Pittsburgh.
So imagine this megaphone didn't emit sound waves, but instead electromagnetic waves. And then I turn it on. Hello. Okay, so let's say I set the wavelength coming out of this megaphone to about 12 centimeters. That's like 5 inches for you Americans. If I do that, what would be coming out of this megaphone is basically microwaves, the same ones as in your microwave. If you've ever noticed that food gets hot in some spots and not others, especially because we took out the spinning dish thing, what the microwave does is it emits microwaves and it heats water molecules in the peaks of those waves. Now, because the microwaves are 12 centimeters wide, right, the frequency is 12 centimeters, then the parts where this chocolate gets really hot are exactly 12 centimeters apart. Basically, we're measuring the wavelength of the microwave using this thing. Now, if instead of that, I set this to a much smaller wavelength, say 500 nanometers, you'd actually be able to see that stream of electromagnetic waves, because that 500 nanometers is the wavelength of blue light. So what does that have to do with not having Wi-Fi around here? When we think of a telescope, we always imagine kind of seeing, and that'd be visible light through an eyepiece. If we want to look at space through a telescope, we still need to reduce the noise, right? We need dark. We need the noise from the sun, from all this visible light coming from the sun, to be quiet so we can see stuff in space. It's kind of the same idea here. This is a telescope for radio waves. It doesn't matter if it's light or dark, because that's not the type of wave that this telescope focuses on. What it needs is quiet. It needs silence from other electromagnetic waves, and those would be the ones that our devices emit. In other words, what that thing does is it sees, or maybe it hears, waves that are not part of the visible spectrum, electromagnetic waves that are not visible light. So that's waves from a range of 3 meters on the broader end of the spectrum, that's about 0.1 or 0.2 gigahertz, all the way down to 2.5 millimeter wavelength. That's around 115 gigahertz.
Oh, damn, that's pretty wide spectrum.
The exact same wavelengths that we use for FM and AM radio, same wavelengths that we use for cell phone towers and for Wi-Fi. And since the National Radio Quiet Zone was created in 1958, things have gotten noisier. Not too different from the noise that you get when you try to expand your team. But G2I, our sponsor for today's video, can help with that. Because hiring engineers for your company is hard, and it's time consuming, and it's expensive, but G2I connects you with pre-vetted contract or full-time engineers so you can skip that boring part and get straight to speaking to the quality candidates. Every engineer that you are matched with in G2I has at the very least 5 years of experience across different tech stacks. You'll also get a recorded technical interview that shows exactly where each candidate excels and where they can improve. Now, these guys have worked with Meta, with Microsoft, Ninja One, Shop Monkey, hundreds of other startups to fill up their
probably don't work with cybersecurity guys.
Over 60%. They have been a partner of ours for months, and they're offering you guys a $1,500 credit on your first invoice if you mention Slidebean when you book your first call. Links to G2I are in the description, or you can just snatch this QR code. And of course, thanks to the team at G2I for supporting our channel. Now, believe it or not, this thing has not gone above 1 since we've been in this field. Now, in the original rules that set up the quiet zone, it basically shut down all AM and FM radio stations and TV broadcast towers, and that made a lot of sense in the 60s because those were the loudest things that you could have. But the world has changed.
42% of people 16 years or older use a pay telephone at least once a month.
So we've been driving south from Pittsburgh, and we drove by a couple of small towns. The signal along the way, the phone signal, has been a little choppy, but we just ran into this ski town called Snowshoe, and everything seems pretty normal to me. No restrictions.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. You got full-on Wi-Fi. So much for Radio Quiet. We're definitely inside the NRQZ. We're like 10 miles in one direction to the actual radio tower. Radio works, we have cell phone signal, we have a bunch of Wi-Fi networks in the village over there. What's up with that? I don't know. I guess we'll see when we get closer. The original quiet zone is about 13,000 square miles, but there are now dozens of cities inside this area. Harrisburg and Staunton have almost 100,000 inhabitants combined. We're staying at this Airbnb that's, what, like 5 miles out from the observatory, and the first thing that we noticed when we came in is that there's a microwave there, and there's Wi-Fi. And the Airbnb is actually just next door to probably the only bar nearby.
Okay.
It's called the Hotspot. Nice place. But what's that about? Is this so much for radio quiet? So I've been reading a bit on the law that created the quiet zone. It's a federal law that allows the scientists to basically control some stuff. For example, broadcast emitters, they have to run at reduced power. Or, for example, they can force cell phone companies to put towers in the valleys between the Appalachian Mountains instead of at the hills, so that the signal doesn't leak all the way to the radar. Now, it says here, though, that within the 10-mile radius of the radar, that's where they have more control. That's where they can put more strict guidelines. Now, this Airbnb is like 5 miles out from the observatory, and still we have a microwave and Wi-Fi. So what's up with that? Have they just given up? So there's this quote that convinced me to come here. It said that the Green Bank Observatory is so sensitive, it could detect an iPhone on airplane mode in Saturn, which is crazy. Like that has to be alien message ready. But if that's true, then
and he's coming in the middle of winter.
Like everything that we have here must be deafening to this observatory. Like I don't get that connection.
You would think even the car itself.
Right? That operates on a 2.5 gigahertz band, about 12 centimeters, not too different from the microwave. So could this radar detect it from here, 100 miles away? If you do the math, which I'm not going to bore you with, the electromagnetic waves coming out of my phone would be deafening to this radar. It would saturate the entire 2.5 gigahertz band, and it would block any signal coming from space from being ever detected here. The reason that doesn't exactly happen is because of the curvature of the Earth, because of mountains and fields and trees.
Yeah, we've talked about the curvature of the Earth with a radio when I was getting my license and everything.
Why would anybody want to come live down here?
I can think of a reason. Maybe you don't want to be in your society.
This. There's a guided tour. They're going to let us in, but there's no cameras, no mics, nothing digital, no phones, nothing allowed, and no exceptions for YouTube. But luckily, we came prepared. It's analog time. What makes the Green Bank Observatory so sensitive is a mix of engineering feats. The size of the plate determines how big of a wave it can catch. This one is 110 meters wide, and it can detect waves of up to 3 meters wide. The reason why it looks like it needs some anti-aliasing is because it's made up of 2,000 plus panels that constantly tweak the shape to stay accurate as it tilts and sags. And without that, we wouldn't be able to catch smaller signals above 4 gigahertz. Now, the fact that it's tiltable is a feat in and of itself. It weighs 17 million pounds. Also, traditional radio telescopes have the feed horn in the middle, but that can block or affect some of the signals. So in this one, it's on the side. The receivers, the parts that actually collect the signal, operate at about 20 degrees Kelvin or minus 253 degrees Celsius.
Woo!
The biggest trick is everything that goes into isolating this thing. No gasoline cars allowed in here because the spark plugs create noise. People comply here not because there's a law that will find them.
That's cool, buddy.
They're overall okay with helping out, and some of them are here for that very reason. The Interference Protection Group, a small patrol that tries to mitigate interference, is mostly there to catch accidental devices, not intentional disruptions.
We have a monitoring station down on site, and then we'll jump in the truck, and we have direction finding equipment in the truck. We just basically have to look at it with the receiver or the spectrum analyzer and just drive around and watch the signal peak or fall away.
For example, one of the sites
those are expensive toys.
Dollar Tree, which is really the only store in the entire town, when it opened, like the theft detection things at the entrance were causing interference with the telescope, and the scientists went and negotiated with Dollar Tree to replace them with ones that wouldn't cause as much interference. They also painted the entire building with this black, like metallized paint that works a little bit as a Faraday cage and isolates the noise that the lights in the Dollar Tree were creating. But all of this work,
holy crap, that is sensitive.
It's kind of the internet's fault. Jenna Baxter, this teenager that the New York Times interviewed a few years ago, she told her story of how she grew up without a cell phone, planning stuff with her friends over landlines, but also without internet bullying, without social media in the palm of her hand. And despite being next to the telescope, well, this town is a town. It has a church and a Dollar General and a bank. Now, we stayed next to the local bar, the only bar for miles. Now, the crowd was this mix of scientists that worked at the observatory, people from other rural towns, people who grew up in rural America that didn't mind moving to this other rural town and that enjoy this quiet lifestyle. Now, Ron, the owner, bought the place last year, and him and his wife worked 2 shifts at the local bank as a school driver and manned the bar at night to pay it off before their kids go to college. Greenbank kind of became this haven for people who look for quiet. Maybe that quiet is sound waves, maybe that quiet is electromagnetic waves.
I am not crazy.
But for the kids growing up here, their Greenbank school is...
I was thinking, like, the guy from Better Call Saul that, like, you know, thinks that he's, like, a victim of, like, electromagnetic poisoning or whatever. I'm like, yeah, that's the exact person that wants to live in a place like this.
Is the only choice. And for years, the 200 or so students in Greenbank School have been lagging. They couldn't use computers for digital textbooks because we're in this Wi-Fi banned zone. And this lack of access to the modern world started to take a toll, a negative toll in their development. So after years of negotiation, the school was finally allowed to install Wi-Fi, but it wasn't just because of the kids. For years, the premise of the NRQZ was town collaboration. But as more people came to live in the National Radio Quiet Zone, it almost became unenforceable. The reason why the school was eventually allowed to use Wi-Fi was that the 2.5 gigahertz band was so saturated, it was almost deemed, you know, useless for observations. Too many things run on that band, and there's no escaping the noise. Also, after pressure from local communities, Starlink, Elon's satellite internet company, enables service for most of the quiet zone. And while there's no signal here in Greenbank, there's no invisible wall stopping those signals from the satellites from causing interference here. And that is just one example. As we implement more satellites, more power lines, the amount of radio interference that makes it...
And also like 5-6 gigahertz, and then also you got to think about, like, he's talking about you know, like AM and FM from the broadcast, but what about the amateur radio that's going out there? Like, if you're bouncing your signal, you know, like you're just happen to be in the area doing an FM broadcast, or, you know, or you're doing, you know, HF, VHF, UHF broadcast, you're doing NVIS to whatever, you may unintentionally hit that area.
To the NRQZ just keeps...
When I move my hand over tech that is on, I swear I can feel the power coming off it or heat. That actually is very likely. There is actually the concept of RF burn. If you actually come across very powerful RF emitting devices, you can actually get RF burn. It is a thing. It is actually something that we've discussed when you go get your technician license in ham radio.
Increasing. Now, don't get me wrong, like, this really is just the price of progress, and losing some sensitivity in the 2.5 gigahertz spectrum is really a small price to pay in exchange for kids doing a lot better in school. But the reason I felt this story was important is not because the telescope is now useless. It's because the circumstances, the political circumstances, the scientific funding that was necessary to create this radio quiet zone, they're unlikely to ever repeat themselves again. When the quiet zone was created, there were no radio waves and they were kept out of this area for 50 years. If you wanted to build a new radio quiet zone today, you'd need to kick people out or convince people to not use technology, and that's a much harder task. But listening to aliens...
You could move it into the middle of the desert. There's still areas where there is no, you know, humans around for miles. Growing up, my grandparents were like, don't walk in front of the dish antennas, it will fry your head. Maybe not that level of extreme, but I mean, yeah.
Is not the only purpose of this observatory. This site discovered propylene oxide, the first complex molecule found in interstellar space. They also found the fastest spinning neutron star and have contributed tons to our understanding of gravitational wave. Working with radio waves also has one huge advantage over working with visible light. Actually, the VLT in Atacama has a terrible limitation because it works with visible light. I traveled there last month to find out what that was. You should check out that video. Catch you on the next one.
Also, I figured out if I, for some reason, minimize the other Florp browser, this doesn't get stuttery for some reason. That's weird. Anyway, moving on. Discord's partner just got exposed. So I think this is, related to the thing we talked about.
Just went ahead and proved something that we already knew. That.
Oh yeah, so this is what we're talking about. We talked about this already, so we can move on from that. Yeah, so we already talked about this, where Discord had their partner that was exposing a little bit too much data and everything. Yeah. Although this was an interesting story that we saw. A PC novice hits the jackpot with free RTX 3090 PC from Kindly Neighbor. Potent build features a $1,500 GPU paired with liquid-cooled i9 10850K and Asus Maximus motherboard. This guy got that as a free PC from a neighbor. Doesn't know anything about it. Like, he's a newbie. And he's like, he's like, I don't know if this computer's good or not. Can you tell me anything about it? And everybody's like, dude. Like, that's a damn good build. Although, I find it kind of weird how somebody would spend that much on a system and only give it 16 gigabytes of RAM. That just blows my mind. Like, you have a 3090, a 10850K, and you're, water cooling the CPU. You put 2 SSDs in, but only 16 gigabytes of RAM. Like, at least put 32 gigabytes in. At least. Like, I'm running 64 on all my machines, 96 in my one laptop that is DDR5. But, I mean, other than that, it's a pretty good deal. 32 is, I think, nowadays kind of the minimum you need for decent builds. Oh, what's this? Oh, freedom.gov. Yeah, Carrier showed this. There's some domain with freedom.gov. Freedom is coming. I don't know what this is. Maybe it's a honeypot. Oh, yeah. This was another thing I wanted to show y'all. FBI probably coming at the door and needed to get rid of it and get some RAM. So this was a browser that, I forgot who showed me it. It's, browser.horse. This is a web browser designed for ADHD people. I'm not saying to go get this browser. I was just like, why would you pay for a browser? Okay? Because they want you to pay for this. It's an indie startup for $70 a year to pay for a web browser. All right? A whole new web browser. And it feels like it was vibe coded. Designed around ADHD people, and their whole claim to fame is like, well, tabs are bad for ADHD people, we should have menus. And I'm like, great, now I'm gonna have menus that I'm just gonna get lost in. Tried to make a website like that for my bio links, bad idea, and I have ADHD. Exactly. So, like, the one thing I will say was nice was they actually did come in with a Linux version. But I'm not paying for a web browser. I'm sorry. The days of me paying for a web browser ended with Netscape Navigator. Netscape Navigator was the last web browser I would pay for. And we all know what Netscape Navigator what happened to them. They became Mozilla Firefox. And now I'm using Florp, which is based on Firefox. But, like, yeah, there's this whole thing. But here's the even worse part about it, okay? Where was it? Oh yeah, it doesn't even have extensions in there. There's no password managers built in, so they're planning to add Chrome extension support. So, like, what is the point in this? What? Oh, so, you know, I'm just gonna have... And then, like, what? You're gonna go into work and be like, I need my horse browser. Why? ADA compliance. Well, fuck you. You can get Firefox, you fucking fuck. Like, it's already hard enough to get Firefox approved for, you know, shit. Anyway. Moving on. Fury over Discord's age checks explodes after shady persona test in UK. Yeah, this whole thing has been, like, blowing up. I saw that, like, people are moving over from Discord to Steam. Like, straight up, like, Steam chat. Because of it. I've seen more people take an interest in Matrix as well. Yeah. Alright. And then, let's see, what is this? Good job, AMC. The downfall, oh no. Good job, AMC.
Holy shit, a major corporation did the right thing for once. So congrats to all the AMC A-listers out there.
Oh, really?
Are you aware that an AI-made movie is coming to movie theaters next month? It's not a feature-length film, but instead an animated short that's potentially going to be shown to millions of moviegoers kind of against their will. You see...
No! 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 I refuse. No! No! Hell no! 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 Hell no! 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 No!
Igor Alfarov's AI short Thanksgiving Day just won the Frame Forward AI Animated Film Festival. And part of...
There's an AI animated film festival? What the fuck?
The grand prize was placement in Screen Vision Media's 20-minute movie theater pre-show. You know, those ads, previews, and shorts that run before the trailers and actual listed start time in theaters.
I just want to see Scary Movie 7, okay? I don't want to see this bullshit. I want to see Marlon Wayans. I want to see White Chicks 2. I do not want to see this bullshit, okay?
Screen Vision Media's programs run in 2,400 theaters nationwide on 15,000 screens, which include AMC, but other movie theater chains as well. So when word got out that an AI-made short would be playing in theaters, it naturally led to a backlash and public outcry among movie fans. And now
damn right!
AMC Theaters is taking action, saying it will not show the AI short. AMC
Scary Movie 7 or Scream 7. Whatever the one is, I think what is it? Marlon Wayans. I think it's Scary Movie 7. Hold on. Scary Movie 7. I think they were coming out. Yeah, it's Scary Movie 7. No, it's Scream 7. Was it Scary Movie 7? Oh, Scream 7. I thought there was going to be a new Scary Movie. Did I get my facts wrong? Oh, Scary Movie 6. Sorry, Scary Movie 6. Okay, so if Scary Movie 6 does well, Marlon Wayans said that there's going to be a White Chicks 2. So I want to see Scary Movie 6. I'm not a horror movie fan, but I love Scary Movie.
AMC said in a statement, this content is an initiative of Screen Vision Media, which manages pre-show advertising for several movie theater chains in the US, and runs in fewer than 30% of AMC's US locations. AMC was not involved in the creation of the content or the initiative, and has informed Screen Vision that AMC locations will not participate. So while there's still a lot to complain about movie theaters, especially the prices, at least in this one instance, it seems AMC did the right thing in prioritizing human-made work and rejecting AI-generated content.
Yeah, I'm not okay with AI-generated artwork like that. No. You know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see someone make Hackers 2 and just have the whole thing be just dunking on AI. That would be great. That would be great. Discord's age check partner exposed. What's this? Is this just the same shit?
One of Discord's partners responsible for age verification, Persona, was just exposed for working with the US government.
I think we just saw this one, didn't we?
And OpenAI on an identity surveillance machine that files reports on you to the feds. Entirely by accident, by the way. But in good news, as far as I'm aware, Discord has dropped Persona as a vendor for IDs, so I gotta give them credit where credit is due. But Persona is still working with companies like Roblox, because these three individuals were looking for a way to bypass the ID check, but instead of that, they stumbled upon a database called OpenAI Watchlist database with persona.com, which is connected to a US government website. That's like planning a crime and your HQ has a giant billboard that said,
that actor is a good egg. What actor? Oh, Matthew Lillard? I love Matthew Lillard. I genuinely love that dude. He's a great actor. Like, I honestly think Hollywood did that dude dirty. He's one of those dudes, like, when I see in a movie, I love every role that he was in. What was that movie that he played as a punk dude? Like, that dude actually made me sob in that movie. SLC Punk. That was it. That was it. Yeah. Like, I so badly wanted to dress like that dude growing up. His hacker, you know, like the hackers, that aesthetic that dude had. I wanted to dress like him in like middle school and high school. And straight up, now that I'm an adult, I should. Serial killer. Yes. Couldn't remember his name. I try to save you from yourself, but you gotta you gotta stop letting your mom address you, man. Okay, so OpenAI is suddenly in trouble. Hans shared this video.
It is a bit scary to know that the most valuable private company in the world has your address and has shown up and has questions for you they were asking for. Every former employee that we had spoken to and what we said to them, every congressional office that we spoke to, every potential investor that we spoke to.
Tyler is just one of many advocates suddenly being targeted.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Cold Fusion. What you just saw there was basically OpenAI knocking on the doors of people who had spoken ill of them. Why are they so scared of what people are saying? Well, this is part of the reason why. On Friday, the 16th of January 2026, OpenAI dropped a bombshell. We are starting to test ads in ChatGPT Free and Go, new $8 a month option tiers. That's right, OpenAI is incorporating ads into ChatGPT. Now, for any other startup, this is normal, even expected at this point. But for OpenAI, it's an admission that things aren't going so well. In fact, it's their last resort. Those aren't my words, but Sam Altman's words in October of 2024. He stated,
Joey.
I kind of think of ads as like a last resort for us for a business model. I would do it if it meant that was the only way to get everybody in the world like access to great services. But if we can find something that doesn't do that, I'd prefer that.
So as we've talked about, Sam Altman, we've looked into his history. There was that app that he actually got his major funds from back in the day, that he got his majority of his wealth from. It was that app back before Facebook had like geotagging and everything, and he oversold the user base that he had on there. Said there were like thousands of users and there were only like a few hundred. He sold it for like millions. The dude is a grifter. He's your stereotypical Silicon Valley grifter. And OpenAI is basically his next thing. So, yeah.
So after hundreds of billions of dollars in investment, increased competition, stupid side projects like the Sora app losing $15 million per day, having trillions in spending commitments, are we witnessing the beginning of the end for OpenAI? After taking 40% of all the RAM on Earth and causing a myriad of social, environmental, and economic problems for everyone, there's a sizable section of people that would love to see this company go down in flames.
Me! I would love to see him go down in flames. Do I use ChatGPT? Yes. But I could easily replace ChatGPT. Like, honestly, ChatGPT in my entire workflow is the most replaceable tool I have. Claude is the thing I can't quite replace as of yet. Because ChatGPT, once I get an LLM large enough, like all I need to do is get a couple of NVIDIA DGX Sparks, export all of my data out of OpenAI, run a Python script to extrapolate my YouTube scripts that I've used for it to formulate what my tone is and how I like to formulate, my scripts, make a RAG out of that, have Gemma 3 parse through all of that, or Quen 3, or one of them, and then run on top of that. Fuck you, ChatGPT. I'm out!
And if things continue just the way they are, they just may get their wish. There's talk of the whole company going bankrupt by 2027. As former Fidelity asset manager George Noble states, quote, "I've watched companies implode for decades. This one has all the warning signs."
You are watching Cold Fusion.
Oh yeah, ChatGPT has gotten so bad. Like, it's actually declining in capabilities.
96% of freelancer work.
So I actually ran into an issue with ChatGPT the other day. So I had, for my WGU class, I had to use ethical hacking tools. And I was asking it how to perform certain functions. It would not actually let me know the functions. It was like, well, yeah, I can't let you know. And I'm like, my entire background, that I'm a cybersecurity engineer, that I'm going to school, that this is for education. Well, I can't do that even for legal reasons. And I'm like, well, fuck you. So I go to Claude and it's like, yeah, sure, here's how you do it. Well, fuck you, ChatGPT.
But in this episode, we're specifically looking at OpenAI and the problems they're facing.
Claude may be money hungry, but Claude actually does its shit, so I'll back my ass up for Claude.
The consumer AI landscape has rapidly changed. Today, OpenAI is no longer the clear leader it once was.
Look, the way this works is we're going to tell you it's totally hopeless to compete with us on training foundation models you shouldn't try, and it's your job to, try anyway.
Oh my god! He is eating those words! He said that in 2023. Let's repeat that.
Compete with us on training foundation models you shouldn't try, and it's your job to, try anyway.
You shouldn't compete with us on training foundation models, but it's, you can try anyway. And now Google, and even Meta, and Anthropic are fucking kicking your ass.
And I believe both of those things. I think it is pretty hopeless, but
they've spent too much money they don't have. The competition is catching up, and they're feeling the heat. In a nutshell, it doesn't look good. They've lost $12 billion in a single quarter. Their traffic has been falling for 1 year straight.
Damn, look at that. Tokens processed.
Both Salesforce and Apple have ditched them for Gemini. Top leadership is leaving, and they need $143 billion to become profitable.
You know what? They had their Icarus moment. They got too full of themselves. And yeah, this is why you should always keep yourself humble. As good as I am, as, much as I learn, as, large of an audience as I get, I always need to remind myself I'm still a piece of shit. I don't know. I know there's a better way to put that. But you know, like there's like the I forget, was it the Roman general that would actually walk in and they would have the person that would come in, and I think it was Memento Mori, they would say, like, you're only human, you're only human, you're only mortal, or something like that. They'd repeat to them. Like, you need to have somebody like that to a CEO and just remind them that they are just a mere mortal and they are not God. Because I think way too many people get too full of themselves and think they are God, and that's why they have this fall from grace.
At this rate, even Nvidia sounds less enthusiastic about investing in them.
Can I ask quickly about OpenAI again?
Sure.
So yesterday you said that the Nvidia is not going to invest as much as 100 billion in OpenAI.
No,
is that for the current run?
we never said we were going to invest $100 billion in one round. That never was said.
But
Yeah.
how about the
Yeah.
overall commitment? Because last September you and
No,
OpenAI.
there was never
Elon thinks he's got. Oh yeah,
If
that dude is
they
so
invited
full of
us-
himself.
They invited us to.
He's also full of shit.
So let's start over again. They invited us to invest up to $100 billion, and of course we were very happy and honored that they invited us. But we will invest one step at a time.
All right, but is that overall commitment still stands, or it's not
No,
a commitment?
I told you just now. Yeah, you keep putting words in my mouth. It's not.
Sorry about
yeah.
Oh, that is such a political answer. They invited us to invest up to $100 billion. And we're going to do it one step at a time. That is basically political speak for, yeah, we were going to invest $100 billion, but nah.
I know that. Yeah. They invited us to invest up to $100 billion. And we are honored that they invited us. We will consider each round one at a time.
That's not how investment goes. You don't go in saying, we invite you to invest up to X number. We invite you to invest. And then the investor then says, we can invest up to this much, or you can then say, we're looking to invest up to this, have this much in this round raised. But yeah.
Yeah.
It appears that confidence in OpenAI is fading. As
Oh
reported
yeah, it's
by the
absolutely saving face.
Financial Times, their closest partner, Microsoft, has signaled that they're distancing themselves from OpenAI. Microsoft's AI chief, Mustafa Suleyman, said that Microsoft is aiming to be self-sufficient in the AI space. So, the problems for OpenAI can be split into four main parts.
And we talked about how Microsoft is making their own AI chips for Azure. So Microsoft making their own AI chips for Azure is interesting because they wouldn't need to do that as much per se if they were not planning to run their own LLM infrastructures, knowing that they've invested so much into OpenAI over these years. I think everyone knows OpenAI is basically a lost cause, because the problem is OpenAI's only revenue is through their LLM model. Google has multiple revenue streams. Gemini happens to be just one of them. We're using YouTube, which is another one, for example. Anthropic is taking a little bit more of a conservative approach with their LLM approach. But even then, they're still making only 4 cents on the dollar. Apple is going to have to come rescue Microsoft this time. So Apple is actually going to Gemini. Apple's already moved to Gemini. They've moved from OpenAI to Gemini.
1. The scaling problem. 2. Losing market share. 3. The financial black hole. And 4. The trust problem. If OpenAI was the only company on Earth with this technology, then maybe there'd be more of a chance to overcome these challenges.
And at one point they were.
It's going to be tough. Now, researching this topic made me realize one thing. Understanding software is crucial, which is why we've partnered with today's sponsor, boot.dev, to help you learn how to code. It sounds great in theory, but most people just watch a few tutorials, copy some code, and then give up. But with boot.dev, instead of passively watching videos, you learn by building things and solving problems from day one, just like how developers learn on the job. We've been using boot.dev at Cold Fusion, and it feels more like a game than a course. You earn XP, complete quests, and fight bosses, all while learning real back-end development skills. Their curriculum takes you through languages like Python, SQL, and Go. And when you're stuck, boot.dev's AI tutor, called Boots, helps guide you back on track. They've also just launched the Training Grounds, where you can grind unlimited challenges to lock in your skills before moving forward. Even if you vibe code for your projects, knowing how to code results in much better outcomes. All of boot.dev's content is free to read and watch, and a paid membership unlocks the interactive
I need to play
coding,
with boot.dev
systems,
eventually when I have
project
time.
tracking, and game mechanics. There's also a 30-day no questions
But I've been
asked
doing
refund and a free demo of the
codecrafters.io a
interactive
little bit
experience
more,
on
and
every course.
I am
So if
affiliated
you've ever
with them
wanted to
too.
learn how to code, or actually stick with it this
That's a whole
time,
other
head to boot.dev and
aspect
use
of
my
things.
code Cold Fusion to get 25% off your first year on the annual plan. Thanks to boot.dev for sponsoring this video. Now, back to the story. The first problem for OpenAI is that the capabilities of ChatGPT have somewhat stalled. It's at the infancy stages, but you can tell by their recent decisions. Sam Altman has gone from curing cancer to AI sex bots and a meme slop factory, and more recently...
We're gonna cure cancer. You know what? Fuck that. We're gonna get Timmy hard. That is... I did not remember that was yeah, we're gonna use OpenAI, we're gonna be able to kill cancer, and how far we have fallen from grace. And look at this, you got Sora with Michael Jackson, Jake Paul being a tooth fairy, fucking WWE with the horse over here.
A translator app? All of this isn't a sign of a healthy business. Moreover, AI capabilities that are getting exponentially more powerful.
Translate with ChatGPT? I could already do that with Google.
ChatGPT made an absolute splash in its release in December 2022. ChatGPT 4 was another leap forward, but GPT-5 and beyond wasn't quite the revolution that was promised by Sam Altman.
It felt like a backtrack.
Stagnation had hit, and hit hard. But why is this? It's an...
My theory is that we're going back to the aforementioned, diminishing returns that I had mentioned earlier, because we're hitting walls with the amount of compute that we currently are capable of doing to be able to get better results. And that's a big problem. The whole premise of OpenAI is that we'll be able to get general artificial intelligence. And I think that's a lofty idea that's more in science fiction fairy tale, in the equivalent idea of Elon Musk's we're going to go to Mars BS. And now suddenly we're going to have moon bases, which that's a whole other thing we're not going to go down. But yeah.
Issue called the scaling problem. The scaling problem in AI, put simply, is the following. Giving LLMs exponentially more compute doesn't make them proportionally smarter. Once upon a time, this was true, but that seems to be coming to an end. Here's computer scientist Cal Newport to explain it in more detail. It takes a second to get through the story, but it's interesting.
In the beginning, we had language models. So we had these for a long time, and they were pretty good. You give them a bunch of text, and they were pretty grammatically good. They could produce pretty fluent text, but it was kind of, they would veer off, and they couldn't really respond well to specific questions. But that was like the state of the world, right? So we had language models. These were studied for years in academia. Then we start to get this sort of accelerating sequences of advances. So the first of these advances comes in 2017. It's a team of researchers at Google figure out a better way to build these models. They're called transformer architectures. The details don't matter, but it made it possible for these models to produce long text, produce a whole article, to produce a couple thousand words. So that was exciting. Then the second breakthrough comes. They do a research study. There's a researcher at OpenAI named Jared Kaplan, and he leads a group of researchers at OpenAI that includes Dario Amodei.
Yeah,
who
exactly.
went on to become the CEO of Anthropic, and actually brought Kaplan with him. And they do.
Oh yeah, he refused to hold hands with Dario At the AI summit?
Experiment. They took basically GPT-2 and said, what happens if we make this bigger? It seems like an obvious thing to check, but there was this whole conventional wisdom in machine learning at this time that says, like, look, you can't make a model too big. If you make it too big, it's just going to memorize the training. And then when you give it new examples, it'll be terrible. And they said, let's check what happens if we actually just make these things bigger and forget about that concern. And what they found in that paper was it gets much better. It like defied the conventional wisdom of decades within the field of machine learning, which was like, don't get too big. Your model's going to stop working if it gets too big. It's going to, it didn't. They're like, oh, it gets better. And not only does it get better, but it gets better pretty fast. And they drew a curve through the data points they had, and they extrapolated that curve, and it went up really fast. And so they said, let's try this. And the thing they tried it on was GPT-3.
The GPT-3 model hype encouraged OpenAI to just make the model bigger, 15 times bigger. The performance was so high that it validated the scaling laws. This sparked a frenzy in Silicon Valley. Soon, Sam Altman was saying that AI would automate the entire economy.
So not only did it jump ahead, it jumped ahead fast. So it really validated this curve. The normies.
This is the whole reason why they're buying up all the memory, is they're under this belief that if they keep scaling their hardware, they're going to get better returns. But as we have basically been seeing, they're not getting that much better.
Don't know this because they weren't as plugged into the AI world, but this sent Silicon Valley going crazy. I'm like, oh my God, if we keep making this bigger, GPT-5 or 6, this thing is going to be artificial general intelligence. It'll be able to do anything a human can do. We might only be like 5 years away. All right, so what happens next? Well, they say we need to show this to the public. So ChatGPT is GPT-3 tamed for public consumption. So now the public all knows about this. 4 months later, GPT-4 comes out, and GPT-4 leaped up the curve exactly as predicted. Exactly. Huge leap forward, exactly as predicted by the paper. So now they're like, oh my God, we're like 2 iterations away. Like, this is it. All the money in the world needs to come to us because whoever wins this race is going to control the economy.
But despite this massive scale, we may be reaching diminishing returns.
GPT-5, they started working on it right away.
Exactly what I said, diminishing returns.
So they build an even bigger data center, an even bigger model. They're calling this Project Orion. By the summer of 2024, so last summer, they finished training this thing. Altman is telling his people this thing is going to blow away GPT-4, and is like, this thing scares me. Scares me what this thing is going to do, right? Like, this is it. We're about to go through the looking glass. They trained this thing, but then it stops working. Slightly better than GPT-4. Like, oh crap. This leaping up the curve every time we make this much bigger, this didn't work anymore. And so there was like this realization of, oh, just making models bigger and training them on more data, the scaling law broke. It broke around GPT-4.
There's a real risk that there may be inherent limits to current day LLMs. Just adding more data may not be feasible for an exponential increase. Think of it this way. It's like a father saying, my son was born just 10 months ago, and in that time he's gone from crawling to walking, and recently he's started running. In 2 years, little Timmy is definitely going to be able to fly.
Flying baby.
Obviously, that's not how it works, but it's the same concept here.
There are certain limitations.
That is a great analogy I'm going to have to remember.
Mathematical limitations that are not crossable by scaling up. I show it clearly mathematically in my book.
So there were many different ideas of how to advance AI. One was we already actually have all the techniques that we need and we just need to scale them. But that was considered a very extreme opinion. Right. And then on the other extreme, it was we don't even have the techniques yet. And interestingly, recently there's a New York Times story that says why we likely won't get to AGI anytime soon by Cade Metz. And he cites this stat that 75% of the longest standing, most respected AI researchers actually still think to this day we don't actually have the techniques to get to AGI if we will ever. So we're kind of coming full circle now, and it is starting to become unpopular again, this idea that you can just scale your way to so-called intelligence.
GPT, I need to wash my car and the car wash is 100 meters away. Should I walk or drive?
Honestly, 100 meters is barely a stroll. It'll take just a minute or two on foot. Unless you've got heavy gear or there's something unusual going on, walking is probably the simplest and most pleasant choice. Plus, you'll save a little gas and get a tiny bit of fresh air.
All right, so you think I should walk to the car wash instead of driving my car there?
That's what I'd do. It's a short jaunt and it'll probably be less hassle than starting the car just for that.
walk to the car wash? It didn't pick up on that trick question.
All right, so how do I wash my car if I walked there?
You'll just bring what you need, maybe a small bag with your payment method, and the car wash will have everything else. Once you get there, they'll handle the washing while you wait. You'll walk back with a sparkling car and maybe a little extra pep in your step.
So my question is, how will the car get washed if the car is still at my house?
I see what you mean now. If the car stays at home, it's not getting any cleaner, right? So yes, to actually wash it, you'll need to bring the car along. In that case, driving those 100 meters makes perfect sense.
While ChatGPT and other LLMs can be extremely brilliant, even in high-level physics and maths, they don't yet have a true model of the world. Some computer scientists believe that that's an integral part of intelligence. Now, I could be wrong. A new fundamental neural...
Like, do not get me wrong. I think an LLM is great as an assistant, but you got to treat him as like an overconfident junior engineer that you still have to smack the hand of very often. Which is why I need to have them... I want to have my own local LLM on a couple NVIDIA DGX Sparks or a couple Dell GB10s, but I don't want to have a SaaS service. I think local LLMs are the future. I want ChatGPT to implode so the RAM supply can open up again and there can be a glut of memory. Because look, if we can have 256 gigabytes of VRAM, or just 256 gigabytes of high-speed memory in general, that gives a lot of us the capability for a large language model that can do a couple 100 billion parameters. Like, the only reason I need to get 256 gigabytes is because one NVIDIA DGX Spark will do 200 billion parameters. The models I want to run are around 230, 260. So I would need to run two with a ConnectX-7 bridge over 200 gigabit per second, split them between the two, and then be able to do up to 400 billion parameters. You see what I'm saying? That would be more than enough for the average person to do most of the processing that they need to do in a family. Now, if I got something like that, I could actually have something do almost all the processing I need to do in my house for an assistant. Like, I could make my own local assistant. Like, I've wanted to always make my own, like, Alexa, but I've wanted to make a Jeeves. I've always wanted to make something that I can ask Jeeves. If you're a millennial or a Gen Xer, you get that reference.
Neural network technique could be discovered, and that could move things along again. But as it stands right now,
I miss him sometimes. I miss him too.
Limit. Now, I have to be clear. Every AI company faces this problem, but some are faring better than others. And one of those is Google.
Well, yeah, Google's gonna survive no matter what, because, like, look, if AI implodes, Google's still going to survive. Like, look, they got YouTube. We're watching YouTube right now.
That Google has found their footing after the shock release of ChatGPT. New data suggests that ChatGPT is losing market share to Gemini. ChatGPT's market share...
Hell, I'm using their open source Gemma,
which is approximately 20% lower than its 86% market share in January 2025. ChatGPT usage also stalled in late 2025. Average daily time spent per user dropped from 27 minutes to 21 minutes. While both have their strengths and weaknesses, Gemini appears to be much better in research, real-time information, and multimodal tasks. While
I've actually been using Gemini a lot more for the research side of things than I have ChatGPT. ChatGPT I've been using more to formulate my scripts that I've been using for YouTube stuff. And that's mostly because it already has a lot of my prior information already trained on it and remembering things. Otherwise, I would bring a lot of that into my local LLM. So hopefully by the end of the year, I'll be away from ChatGPT. That's my personal goal. If I end up getting my bonus from this current job, that'll be a thing.
ChatGPT is better at writing,
But that'll
coding,
be
and
next year.
conversation. Real-time information and multimodal tasks, i.e. uploading a photo or pointing a phone camera at a scene and getting information about it, is arguably more useful for the everyday person, especially on mobile. So Apple pushing OpenAI aside and going for Gemini makes sense. It's amazing to think that back in late 2022, Google was caught with their pants down when ChatGPT first came out, but today they've more than caught up. And after all, it was Google researchers who laid the groundwork for the AI revolution with their 2017
Google has the
breakthrough of
resources.
Transformer architecture. OpenAI simply took Google's work and ran with it. So in theory, Google researchers have the brains to come up with new theories in computer science to push AI forward. Some recent papers include nested learning and Simmer 2, an AI that can reason and play video games generally. OpenAI, on the other hand, has a problem with staff continuously leaving. AI images is also another loss for OpenAI. The release of Google's...
You know what's funny? OpenAI actually had a cybersecurity engineer role I applied for. Never heard back from it. I'm not surprised. I just was like, look, they're asking. It was like $250,000 a year. I'm like, what the hell? If I get it, I get it. If I don't, oh well.
Nano Banana Pro in November of 2025 triggered an internal crisis at OpenAI. Sam called a code red and paused all other projects to focus on image generation, but they still ended up falling short. And then there's the flood of open source Chinese models. Kling AI and Qwen are also gaining ground. Then there's the wild cards like Google's Project Genie and...
Oh, Qwen? Qwen is freaking awesome. Like, I've been telling you, Qwen is amazing. I use Qwen a lot, and I don't mean as in, like, oh, I use it on their servers or anything. I use Qwen on my local box over here. Like, Qwen 3. Just ask, can you start by asking me about instances when I procrastinate the most and then give me some suggestions to overcome it? That was just one of the suggestions it had up there. So it's thinking right now. Qwen is a thinking model. This is Qwen 3 14B, just a 14 billion parameter model. Look at this. And this is running on my NVIDIA 5060 Ti. All right, so it thought for 19 seconds. Could you give some examples of when you procrastinate the most? For instance, do you delay tasks at work, school, or personal projects once you let me know? Let's say, when I am at school to get my schoolwork done. You know, like, this is an open source model. And these are small models. Like, what is it? Like, ChatGPT is like about 1 trillion parameters. And this is 14 billion. So, like, look at this. This is already, like, fantastic for how small this is.
An AI that builds worlds, albeit static, just from a prompt. All of this is to say that OpenAI has threats from all sides. Knowing this, it's possibly the worst time for OpenAI to be shopping around for billions more in investment, if just in a year's time, the competition will only be stronger.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a business. So I'm just wondering, like, eventually is the idea to kind of like license technologies? Will you have customers that you're going to be customizing algorithms for them, or how is it going to work?
You know, the honest answer is we have no idea.
Patents.
We have never made any revenue. We have no current plans to make revenue. We have no idea how we may one day generate revenue. We have made a soft promise to investors that once we've built this sort of generally intelligent system, basically we will ask it to figure out a way to generate an investment return for you.
Wow.
The third issue for OpenAI is the company's finances. The publication, The Information, saw internal documents from OpenAI, and the numbers don't look good. Setting aside the myriad of lawsuits, including a $134 billion one from Elon Musk, there's some real financial problems. After hundreds of billions in investment, 2026 will see a $14 billion loss. That's roughly 3 times worse than early 2025 estimates. OpenAI expects their first profit of $14 billion in 2029, but that's after losing $44 billion first. By some estimates, they'll be out of money by 2027.
If I was there and heard
OpenAI
him
is
say
committed to
that, I would
spending
have
over
walked
$1
out.
trillion in AI data center infrastructure over 8 years, and that's despite only bringing in $13 billion a year in recurring revenue. That's 1% of what they're promising to spend. OpenAI has also agreed to pay Oracle $60 billion per year, starting in 2027.
I just want to say, F you, Larry Ellison. F you. Carry on.
And in all of this, somehow, OpenAI predicts that they'll be at $100 billion revenue.
Not because of political reasons. I mean, that too, but I just don't like Oracle.
By 2029. That's close to what Nvidia makes. So it's possible, but unlikely. Other investors think so too. Blue Owl Capital recently pulled out of a $10 billion deal to fund an Oracle/OpenAI data center in Michigan. It could be a sign that investors are worried about OpenAI's ability to pay them back. Google, on the other hand, doesn't really have to worry about cash flow. The company made $86 billion in 9 months, and they can basically pour as much money as they want into AI. OpenAI, on the other hand, has to scream at the top of their lungs to attract more venture capital. There's yet more company behavior that indicates financial trouble. There's the floundering to spend $6.4 billion acquiring Johnny Ive's design firm, and that's to build an AI hardware device. But according to reports, the development is going poorly, and it could end up like the Humane's AI pin. The AI erotica version of ChatGPT is self-explanatory.
I have to back up, make sure I heard that right. So the Humane pin, you remember that whole thing? The Marquez Brownlee, back when he was I guess decent, I guess you could say. There was a few scandals he's gone through. Anyway. The Humane pin was this AI expensive BS device. It was I think $600. And it was bullshit. It flopped. The rabbit. Yeah, the rabbit. The R1, I think it was. Yeah. And I don't know why ChatGPT is trying to make a hardware device. Because here's the problem. Every phone has AI built into it. What is ChatGPT? What is OpenAI going to do that is not already been done by Apple, by Google, by Samsung, by Xiaomi? I mean, Xiaomi is probably, I don't know too much about their ecosystem, but they're probably integrated with Alibaba's Quen. Alibaba is behind Quen. I mean, there's no way that OpenAI is going to compete in the hardware space. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be as objective as possible, but it's not realistic.
And it could end up like the Humane's AI pin. The AI erotica version of ChatGPT is self-explanatory, and the Sora app's user base has collapsed. Despite not having much to show versus the competition.
Oh yeah, ChatGPT is coming out with an erotica version, isn't there? Quen is okay. I think the open source version of Quen is amazing. But yeah.
Sam needs to talk a big game to get the investment rolling in. Curing cancer, replacing your GP, and discovering new science is a massive promise. But can we trust him?
No! You sit on a throne of lies!
The final issue for OpenAI lies with Sam himself. His track record
emphasis on lies
is poor.
Yes!
It's almost like Altman's entire career was a series of promises that didn't pan out, all starting from his first company, Looped, that he founded in 2005.
That was the company, I couldn't remember, Looped.
It was kind of like a strange GPS-based social network. Sam Altman claimed a massive user base of 50,000, but they didn't exist. In reality, they had only 500 users, but he sold off the company for millions anyway. The next example happened in 2014 with Reddit. He scraped the whole website to feed into OpenAI's products, and then he promised to give 10% of the value back to the community, but this never happened. Next, OpenAI co-founder...
I forgot about that. I forgot that he promised to give Reddit value back. I love to use AI to ask questions about the human body. The neck bone is connected to the...
Ilya Sutskever, who has since left OpenAI, has accused Sam of a consistent pattern of lying. According to insiders, Sam Altman lied to OpenAI board members before being fired in 2023. So with this kind of track record, is he the guy who's going to deliver trillions in value? Or is most of this just talk, pumping up new investment? I'll leave that up to you. So a little personal story. Back in 2022, I believe, I was in Melbourne and I watched Sam Altman give a talk. After the talk, he was swarmed by crowds of people wanting to take a photo with him. But today, the sentiment couldn't be more different. And it's partly to do with this. In 2015, OpenAI started as a non-profit. It was meant to benefit humanity. Now the only thing the company cares about is valuation and saying whatever they need to attract new investment by any means necessary. So to summarize everything, OpenAI went from a non-profit that had no plans to make revenue to a for-profit company that commits to spending $1 trillion on data centers, $1 trillion for diminishing returns due to the fundamental scaling problem with LLMs.
I think that's
losing
potential.
billions of dollars and losing out to growing competition in a sector that may just become a commodity in the end. Just in my opinion, it's not really a great financial bet as it stands. But after all that we've talked about, what do you think? Do you think OpenAI will survive? Or will the competition eat them alive? Anyway, that's about it from me. My name is Dagogo, and you've been watching Cold Fusion, and I'll catch you again soon for the next episode.
I think that competition's definitely going to be eating them alive. Alright, next up. DHS wants a single search engine to flag faces and fingerprints across agencies. This plays into the persona thing we've talked about, where they're grabbing in information. Of course, I ate up my last free article. But yeah, Homeland Security aims to combine its face and fingerprint systems into one big biometric platform. Yeah, isn't it funny? Wasn't this the same party that at one point was worried about big government surveilling the United States citizenry? And that, you know, it was intruding upon our privacy. But no, when it comes to illegal aliens, apparently, their words, not mine. Apparently it's okay. If you ever see me see a photo of my holding my state ID flipping off the ID verification, it's from Cash App of ID.me. But yeah, this is not surprising at all that it's happening from the Trump administration. Now, to be clear, like I've said, I'm not surprised when anyone in government, Democrat or Republican, wants to, you know, actually make bigger government to surveil people, okay? I'm just saying I'm not surprised. I'm just saying it's hilarious that this is the same party that at one point is like, no, you know, we're totally okay, want to, you know, protect your right to privacy, but we want everyone's fingerprints. We want everyone to have, you know, proper ID, and everyone should carry your papers with you. But we totally believe in your right to privacy. Or, how about this? We totally believe in the Second Amendment and your right to bear arms, but you should have never brought that gun to a peaceful, you know, peaceful protest. Who's bringing a gun to a peaceful protest? Oh, you had a legal concealed carry? Why were you carrying at a peaceful protest? Oh, that guy? I mean, he was probably there to, you know what I'm talking about, the guy that, you know, got shot, that was a law-abiding citizen that actually got, unalived by the officer that had a concealed carry. You know what I'm talking about. And y'all know me. I'm a pro 2A kind of guy. And you saw how they quickly had to backtrack that when the NRA was like, hold up, wait a minute. And the Republicans were like, wait, well, I'm sorry. Yeah, maybe, you know, they're a law-abiding citizen, you know. When you want to know what you are for dinner, 8, not hard. But you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Do I sound like some crazy conspiratorial person? Probably when you hear this. But did I say, like, probably if you heard this before this happened. But, like, the funny thing is, I was saying this shit before these things happened. Chat, you've been here long enough to know I've been saying this shit happened before Trump was elected. And saying this shit would happen, no matter who was in office and all these things would happen. And here we are, and it's happened. I'm not one of the, I'm not one of those people. I make fun of Alex Jones. I think was his name Alex Jones? The guy that, you know, the frogs are turning gay, that one. The frogs are turning freaking gay. That dude, the crazy dude, the one that lost everything. You know what I'm talking about. Clinton and Harris said it would happen. Yeah. Alex Jeffrey Peretti, a 37-year. Wasn't the dude a nurse too? If I'm not mistaken, or were they a doctor? InfoWars, that's it, yeah. And the greatest part about that whole thing, The Onion wanted to buy InfoWars. I so want The Onion to buy InfoWars. I thought that would be the greatest ending to that whole thing. I think chat, y'all have known me long enough to know I'm not one of those crazy conspiratorial people. I'm just one of those people that I see things for what they are. You can agree with me, you can disagree with me. I'm never gonna, I'm gonna level with you and say everyone's never gonna have 100% agreement with everybody. I have friends that are across the spectrum, both in autism and politics. That's nurse, okay. And weren't they trying to get to another person, I think, trying to, help them for medical reasons or something like that? It's like so effed up. Oh, and did you hear about the recent effed up thing where apparently a whistleblower has come forward who has resigned from Congress, not Congress, the Border Patrol, to testify in front of Congress. Border Patrol. Hold on. Yeah. I think it was this dude. Rodney S. Scott, I think it was. Yeah, I think this was him. He was talking about how, I think this was him. Talking about how the education of law enforcement has gone downhill and how they halved the amount of education and how they're basically educating the new Border Patrol people to, or Border Patrol or ICE people, I forget, is it ICE or Border Patrol? Well, either way, to basically do things that are in violation of the Constitution and forego classes that would educate them on the constitutionality and how to approach things in a constitutional way, which explains so much of the behavior that's happening right now. I'm not trying to go on a political tangent or anything. This goes perfectly in the purview of cybersecurity, privacy, and, digital rights and all of this stuff. Because you need to know, like, if they're trying to access your data or anything. Probably more Doge cuts. Maybe. But also in relation to this, they've been getting rid of more judges, more of the border judges, because they're not ruling in the favor of what they want. It's really effed up the way they do it. Look, y'all know me well enough to know I don't have any sacred cows when it comes to politics. I'll vote. I voted Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, and Green Party in various elections at various levels of the state, whether it be county, local, state, or federal, depending on who fits what in, whatever year. I look at the individual. I don't give a fuck about the individual party. I look at the individual, but this nation's fucked. Anyway, moving on. The biggest ID leak yet. So, Discord had a data leak, vendor, Persona.
So as of Discord's former age verification partner Persona having a huge data leak wasn't enough, there is now another AI-powered age verification tool that has had a massive data leak, that being ID Merit. ID Merit had a data breach where 1 billion records of personal data were exposed. There was an unprotected database owned by ID Merit and likely containing Know Your Customer data has spilled vast amounts of personal records across
fucking A.
the United States, Germany, France, China, Brazil, and many more. Anyone who has ever done any type of age verification with ID Merit is now under massive risk to have their information out there. Leaked data includes national IDs, full names, addresses, phone numbers, and potential telecom metadata. The United States was the most affected nation with over 203 million personal records exposed. Mexico, the Philippines, and European nations like Germany also had millions.
Well, RIP, chat.
Of exposed records. But it was for the kids, right? It's always for the kids, as they say with these stupid...
Always for the kids, always for the kids. F them kids!
Ass age verification laws. No, it was all about collecting your data, and I have no doubt that some of these data leaks are happening on purpose. An AI-powered tool used by ID Merit, a global leader in digital identity verification, so a global leader in stupidity, has exposed a staggering 1 billion personal records. The leak details include a bunch of personally identifiable...
Why the hell are you running a MongoDB instance? Why? Jessica's right. This is the episode and the day I'm probably going to lose my voice. But why?
Information, including full names and addresses, as well as nationally identified.
Probably tied to that freaking MongoDB exploit that was going on, because these assholes probably didn't patch it in time. Fuck you.
Documents and phone numbers. And here is a little graphic of how many records.
First off, fuck your bitch and the click you claim.
Records have been exposed for now, probably will be more later, by country. So as you can see, United States was the most heavily affected with 204 million personal records being leaked. Next up is actually the Philippines with 72 million records leaked, Germany with 60 million, and then there's a bunch of countries near Europe that have had a bunch of leaks as well. So yeah.
Oh, that's when I smack the shit out you. I smack the shit out.
Yeah, this is a huge deal. Hundreds of millions, possibly over 1 billion personal records have been leaked. And for all the age verification YouTubers and people making those tweets saying,
oh, but it's for the kids, it's for the kids, it's for the kids.
For all the people who are vehemently defending age verification, saying, oh, if you don't want to give your ID, do you have something to hide? Are you a diddler? There were always people trying to make excuses for ID age verification. And they would try to paint the people who were against it as like, we were like weirdos towards kids or something. What a reach. I mean, hey, I don't want my personal data leaked, and I don't want to have my ID and my social security number on a database. That equals, hey, you don't care about the safety of children, or you must be a danger to children. I mean, it is just like the craziest reach of all time. And something like this.
The only time I'm a danger to children is when I have fireworks. That's a whole other issue, though.
Actually proves how dangerous it was to do this type of stuff. And they are just going to be collecting all this biometric data. I assume it'll get sold to some sort of AI model training system. And the governments around the world are all corrupt. They just want your information. And they're trying to use this guise of it's for the kids to try to justify all these invasive ass measures that they're trying to take to, oh, protect kids. You know, so go ahead and submit your ID, give us your facial scan, give us your credit card, give us the middle name of your great grandchildren that haven't been born yet. I mean, it is just crazy, dude. So exactly what personal data was leaked? So because ID Merit is an AI powered KYC provider, the data it collects is incredibly sensitive. The unsecured 1 terabyte database didn't just leak passwords, it leaked the core personal identifiers used for your financial and digital life. The following structured data was left open for anyone to download.
You left the database open. So you're telling me, if I'm understanding this correctly, you didn't salt your motherfucking database. You had a MongoDB database that you didn't salt. You didn't salt it, you didn't hash it, what the fuck? This is why I believe in the corporate death penalty. I may not believe in the human death penalty, but I believe in sure as hell as the corporate death penalty. I believe when there are crimes or you F up so egregiously as a corporation that your corporation should be... and those executives should be held accountable.
Full names, addresses, postcodes, dates of birth, and national IDs, phone numbers, genders, email addresses, telco data, breach status, and social profile annotations. So, oh my gosh, man. So what does that last one mean, right? Breach status and social profile annotations could refer to a database identifier indicating whether the data originated from a data breach or a leaked database. However, at this point, the true meaning of that data point is unclear, and that was actually only present in some regions. So basically, here are some of the things that can happen if that type of data is leaked about you, right? So,
oh, God damn it. Did my Twitch chat just, like, totally freeze up? Yes, it did. Sorry. If they were really protecting the kids, they wouldn't have allowed generated CP on X. Oh, yeah. 91-cent class action lawsuits. Here we come. Back up. Put it in reverse, Terry. My SSN, state ID, and name address has been found 3 times on Darknet. Oof. That's why I've been advocating for a lot of those data removal services, but they can only, work so well. At a certain point, it's gonna catch up. French, do you still get that head decapitating thing? We may need it. Do you mean not trebuchet, the guillotine? Yeah! Yeah! Bring back the guillotine!
At this scale, downstream risks include account takeovers, targeted phishing, credit fraud, SIM swipes, and long-tail...
Yep, SIM swaps, all that. Yep, this is going to be fun. We're going to get some we're going to get some spear fishing. This is going to be fun! Y'all be investing in some YubiKeys today. Yeah. Thank God I got YubiKeys. And password managers. And I alias a lot of my personal accounts.
Privacy harms industry-wide. The case underlines how third-party identity vendors have become critical infrastructure and can become single points of catastrophic failure. And also, if it wasn't already obvious enough, identity theft is one of them too. With that type of information out there about yourself, someone can easily steal your identity, hijack all of your financial information through your banks and stuff like that. And yeah, it would just be extremely awful if people were able to get a hold of that type of information about you. So apparently this was actually exposed a few months ago on November 11th, 2025. The cyber news.
I don't know that type of mentality. Is that bad, and can I change that? Yes, that's bad, and you definitely can change that. It takes time. So I have a password manager. I don't even know the passwords to my accounts. I know the password to my password manager, and I know the password to my backup for my password manager. And then I have my two-factor is on my YubiKeys. So like I have you don't need to have it in a fancy bag like this. I just do it because I know where it is. So I have like YubiKeys like this. So these are physical things that I can, you know, plug in and get my two-factor codes. So you plug in and tap them. So like these are like the pass keys as well. So I use pass keys. So when I actually go to generate my MFA, I actually have one on my keyboard right now. I type a password in. I'm not going to type it in right now, but I type that in, then I select the account that I need to generate the key for, and then I tap the key, and then it does the thing. If you're looking for a good password manager, there's a couple I use. The one I use for my personal accounts is Proton. I have a link in the bio for that. I am affiliated with them, just giving that disclosure, but I have used them longer than I've been a creator. I use them for my email, my personal email, they have a VPN as well. I use that when I travel, but I don't use it when I'm at home. No reason to use a VPN when you're at home unless you're trying to get around geo-blocks. I use their password manager. I pay for their professional, their business account. That way I can also use my own custom domains. I have a lot of domains that I use for my own email server. The reason why I imported when I ran my own email server to them. And you can also do a feature when you pay for the email server. I think you get like 10 free ones or something like that. But you can also do email aliasing with Proton Pass that you can't do with a lot of password managers. What that means is not only can you have a different password for each account, you can actually alias the email for each account. So it can be like Facebook23 at passmail.net is your login. And then you'll go to TikTok and then it'll be like TikTok Timmy 45 at passmail.net or whatever domain you hook up to. And it all forwards to your email. So it all goes to your email. So that way, whenever somebody, you know, if that account gets compromised, they can't just spray all the accounts. So not only do I have a different password, on a lot of my accounts, I have a different email as well. And then you can put the multi-factor code in those accounts too, if you want. I just do different things. But Proton is the one I recommend and I use for my personal stuff. Another one I use is Bitwarden. I use them too. And then for my stuff that I use offline is KeyPass XC. Kilo, Echo, Echo, Papa, Alpha, Sierra, Sierra, X-Ray, Charlie. That's an offline one. But you would be responsible for backing up everything yourself. I use that for the seeds for my multi-factor authentication. But again, you're responsible for backing that up yourself. But Proton is more than enough for the average person. I like their email suite. I like their password management. Overall, I think it's a good suite for the average person. I know Chief's passwords. It's left nut, right nut, swing. How'd you know? Broke out the NATO alphabet out there. You get used to it when you do ham radio operation. So I've gotten really used to NATO alphabet since I've been using my ham radio. It makes life so easy. Yeah, no problem, Morphosis. And of course, if anyone needs any help or advice, you're more than welcome to join the Discord or the Matrix servers. The links are in the bio, along with all my other socials. Definitely password 1. Excuse me. Password 1! Exclamation point. Yes! Yes, Jessica. How rude of you. Of course there's an exclamation point. And don't forget the star.
To them, company, which promptly secured the database. And even though it doesn't seem like anything bad has happened as a result of the database right now, there are automated crawlers set up by threat actors constantly prowling the web for exposed instances, downloading them almost instantly once they appear.
It's been 90 seconds. I must rotate.
Out on the internet for months, it would be naive to believe that.
Wait. You rotate? Hold up.
Aren't hackers out there or threat actors that have access to all that information now. So Cyber News estimates that there are about 3 billion records leaked spanning over 20 countries. And what surprised them is not only how large the data leak was, but how many different countries it was affecting around the world. So the US was number 1.
TikTok you made in 21 about best
leaked,
local ISPs.
Mexico with 124.
Oh, damn, that's a while ago. But yeah, I do still stand by that statement. Do wish that ISP was local to me.
And the Philippines. So I actually misspoke earlier. Mexico is the one that had the second most leaked personal records. Philippines at number 3, and then the European nations.
My next house, I'm definitely finding where their fiber line is, and I'm going to be moving there.
To various countries and are likely to reveal sensitive data. Another 2 billion are likely various database logs, which are likely less sensitive, but still bad. So the researchers at Cyber News said, with all the information that's been leaked, these are prime ingredients for identity theft, SIM swapping, and social engineering attacks. And keep in mind, it's for the kids. Oh, we're always going to delete your data. Just trust us, bro. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah, those are the types of people that were going ahead and defending this and trying to get your IDs from you. And look what has happened. In just a few days, there has been news that have been broken about 2 massive data leaks. For those.
Yeah, this is why we don't trust people inherently when they say that they'll delete your data. The best choice. So, like, you know how in recycling the saying is reduce, reuse, recycle? You know what they mean by that statement. Reduce means use less as much as possible in the first place, then reuse, and then recycle. Okay? Similar concept. So let's reduce the amount of data that we need to hand out there. And that's it. If we can reduce the amount of data we give out, the less exposure we open ourselves to. The more data we give out, the more we widen our attack surface. A lot of people don't understand the concept of what an attack surface is. So, essentially, you know the game Invaders? This is a good way to think about it. All right. You know that, the game Invaders, I think it is. Arcade Invaders. Okay, yeah, this is a good one. I want you to think of an attack surface like this. So you have invaders, okay? But think in the opposite here. So imagine, if you will, you know how at the end you have that one guy and he's really hard to hit because you have one guy, moving around? Imagine that is the less data you have. Now imagine the more data you have out there is the more invaders you put out there and the easier it becomes to hit. Imagine the invaders are your attack surface. Essentially, that is what we're trying to talk about. And that is what we're trying to prevent. Whenever somebody's like, oh yeah, just, give your ID, we just want to, stop all these, people from, harming kids. Like, you don't want to diddle kids, like, why are you weird about giving your ID up? This is what we're trying to prevent. Because then we go around and our ID keeps getting exposed because now we're all over the place, except now our PII is the equivalent of all that data out there. We're now, this is now all of our data. Okay? That's your social security number, that's your credit card number, that's your phone number, that's your, your driver's license number, that's your voter ID. Just imagine one of these is another, piece of your PII. That's what you're allowing people to do when you give more information out. More and more and more. Whenever you're trying to do verification for things. That's why we should have as little identity verification as possible. I agree with identity verification for employment. I agree with identity verification for getting your passport, for getting a bank account, for, credit cards, things like that, things that make sense. But I don't agree with it for a video game. I don't agree with it for a fucking social media site. I don't agree with a lot of that stuff. Okay? That's my soapbox.
Those guys who somehow haven't seen my last video,
use Pop OS.
Definitely go give it a watch. Discord's partner, I guess they say former partner Persona, their ID age verification vendor, they actually got exposed as well for working with the government to basically collect all of your IDs and information. And they were actually putting you on a list with risk level based on the opinions that you had against ICE. Like, for example, if you were saying bad things about ICE, they would put you at a high risk level. They would be watching everything that you do, every keystroke, everything that you were doing on Discord. Same thing with Roblox. Roblox also uses Persona. So if you were
this is why you should be using Signal and Matrix. Yeah. I digress.
Identifying your information through Persona with Roblox or Discord, they were putting you on lists, they were watching you, they were looking at everything that you do, and they have access to so much information about you just through a selfie or your ID. So yeah, to say that this is a massive data leak would be the understatement of the century. A little bit more information about ID Merit. Those scumbags are a global identity verification and fraud prevention technology, pretty ironic this, firm that provides API-based solutions for KYC, AML, and digital identity verification. As of 2025, it operates with roughly 25 to 50 employees and serves a growing global customer base. Hopefully
only 25 to 50 employees. What the fuck?
this stops growing over here and generating about 2.9 million in annual revenue. The company was founded in 2014 and trades as a privately held US tech provider. I'm going to assume that they generate a lot more money than that.
Oh yeah.
They go ahead and utilize all the information they collect from us, and then all of a sudden there's a quote data leak, a data breach, that definitely wasn't intentional with these ID age verification companies and just the government in general. I just can't trust a word that they say anymore, and you guys shouldn't either. These guys are such vultures, such scumbags, and all they want to do is just collect all of our information, and then they always try to hit you with the thing where they're like, it's for the kids. It's like, okay, so do parents...
And the problem is, the USA has an extremely Wild West approach when it comes to data privacy. There is nothing they will do to have them held accountable. Because how much you want to bet they were not actually doing security checks like they should have been? How much you want to bet? I'm betting that they didn't do that. Because if this were in Europe, they would be being, basically just castrated right now. What app will you switch from Discord? I'm not switching from Discord, but I have Matrix and Signal. I've had those for years. I already have a Matrix server.
And guardians not exist. There are still people alive who remember what life was like before social media. I'm one of them. I mean,
yeah, I remember.
I was growing up right when social media started getting big, and no,
yeah,
it's not just like, oh, right when social media happened, all of a sudden these kids are just freaking glued to their phones and stuff like that. That
one of my girlfriends when I was in middle school was the one who made a Facebook account for me. She made it because she was a long-distance girlfriend, and, we met through the Jewish youth group thing, whatever. So we could stay in touch. I had no intention of having a Facebook, but that's how we stayed in touch. She made my Facebook account. I deleted it over 10 years later. If it were for the kids, then they would probably fund IT educational programs and teach them about safety. For the kids, then there would be free resources for parental education for safety. Yep. You let her make your own FB account. It was like 2004, 2005, or 2003. It was a way different world. I had MySpace. She had to convince me. I was like, look, I have MySpace. I don't even know what I need this Facebook shit for. And she's like, well, here, I'll make it for you. You can use it if you want or not. I, used it, got on, changed the password, whatever.
That is a lack of parenting. That is a lack of your guardians giving a shit about you. And so the idea that we need the government to go ahead and hold
for the kids, then there would be actual fines and charges for parents not properly monitoring and held as accomplice in issues. Exactly. Look, if a kid gets access to a firearm and the parent is held accountable in that situation, I believe the same thing should be done about a kid getting access to the internet that way. We don't give kids resources and parents resources the ways that they should. And the problem is, too many people think the government should be the parent, and the government should not be the parent. The government is ill-equipped to be the parent.
Your parents' hands and teach them how to be your mommy and daddy is just such a stupid thing that's going on in the world right now. And this whole "it's for the kids" push that is going on right now.
Look what happened to MySpace.
By these dumb.
Look, MySpace was the shit in like 2002, 2003. Okay.
Parents that don't understand what's going on here. So hopefully some parents and guardians see this video.
Nobody gives a fuck about Jack Doherty.
And see videos like this and see, wait, hold on. They're asking for our IDs and our age verification through, AI facial scans and stuff like that. But then this information just keeps getting leaked over and over and over.
That guy has not been worth my attention for a long time. I see him come up on YouTube once in a while because he'll come up on more Pegasus or Atozy. But other than that, I could not give a shit.
Over again. Hopefully they can see a pattern that actually shows
about
them
5 minutes. MySpace was a big hit. Hey! I learned my HTML and CSS skills on there. Everyone knew MySpace. My MySpace was lit. Okay, you came on and 50 Cent immediately played. Just saying.
Is a terrible idea because the only way that the governments have come up to enforce it is, hand over your ID, hand over your AI facial scans. It doesn't take a freaking computer science genius, a rocket scientist to understand how risky and invasive this type of data collection is. And you can see the graphic in front of your very eyes. Like I said, shout out to everybody at Cyber News for going ahead and doing all this research. But they are just telling us what we already know, or at least the smart people in the world know, that this type of data collection and this type of biometric data harvesting that these countries and, governments around the world are doing, it is just freaking crazy. We have to put a stop to this. I've mentioned NetChoice many times. NetChoice is a perfect example of an organization that is actually trying to help.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about them in the past
across the United States, and
yeah. So that's no bueno. Okay, so there was what's this? A YouTube short. Oh yeah, I had this about a Cybertruck. There once was a truck with an ugly frame. Its angle sharp. It looks so lame. People wonder who's to blame.
There once was a truck with an ugly frame. Its angle sharp and it looks so lame. The people wondered who's to blame. The man who goes to Mars. All hail the Cybertruck, a brick on wheels that frankly sucks. They call it sleek, but there once was a truck with an ugly frame.
Oh, that sounds like there was another line to it. Need a full version. The ending got cut. It's the dumbest thing on wheels. The last line. Okay, that cut tracks. You know what amazes me? that snow is not that high, and it's struggling with that. Now, my SUV is not like a super, super off-roady car. Now, it does have some decent Yokohama, tires on it. All-terrain tires. But it's been handling snow and all that pretty well in all-wheel drive. It doesn't have four-wheel drive, it has all-wheel drive. And those of you that don't know the difference, it's a transfer case. That's the main difference. Transfer case and potential lockers. I cannot believe how shitty Cybertrucks manage to operate as trucks. Like, in inclement weather, I have seen them slip and slide and, get caught, go off-road in, the worst ways. And I don't mean, off-road, oh, wee, yay, fun. I mean, oh, fuck, we're going off-road. And now we have a few states trying to force age ID at the OS level. Yeah, because you got a bunch of frickin', how do I say this politely? We have a bunch of politicians that should be riding the short bus and should not be qualified to go into Congress because their IQ levels shouldn't allow them to be able to run. They should be wearing football helmets. Is that a nice way to put it? I didn't want to go out and say the R word, but you know what word I wanted to say. No, not that one. The other one.
What is your life? There once was.
Okay, internet killer. I guess we can save that for the next stream. But we're getting mostly caught up with the streams, thankfully. So, that's good. They need to be put in a psych ward. No, they need to be put in a special school, in a special class, because they're special. They actually would be great. They would be really happy being friends with Jimmy and Timmy on South Park. They would be really happy being friends with the guys on Dumb and Dumber. You understand where I'm going with this? Timmy! And the Lords of the Underworld. But yeah, oh my god. I can't believe that they're actually trying to get the ID checks now at the operating system level. Do they really think that's actually going to be a thing? Do they not know about Linux? That's never gonna happen. That's never gonna happen in Linux. It is a physical impossibility. It is a technological and physical impossibility for it to happen in Linux, because in Linux, there is no central authority. I swear to God. These people, they need to wear a football helmet just to be able to sleep safely at night. You could go for a toaster strudel right now. You know what? I haven't had those in a long time. I could too. I haven't had a toaster strudel since middle school or high school. I I could go for shitty toaster strudels. The year is 2049 and you're on the run on the law with the Ubuntu Live USB. Oh my God, you know, we're not that far off. We're not that far off. Where, like, the average IT and cybersecurity person is going to basically be a criminal. This is, like, getting ridiculous. Like, I swear to God, you know I hate politics. I despise politics. I've thought about this. If I get to the point where, like, my buddy is a startup, okay? And there's a potential, like, I could move over to his job and it does well enough where I could retire off of that job. If that happens, I've entertained the idea of me running for politics as my retirement gig. Just to be able to be, like, the guy in Congress to be like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, you're cool, fuck you, I'm out. Because I'm tired of this shit. I feel like you need a hacker in there. Like, you need somebody in there to tell them, like, about all the tech shit. Sorry, all this is free flow, late night bear. This is like hanging out with a friend watching TV. It's okay, bud. Do it. Do the money management has gone downhill anyway. Let them eat compute. Could you imagine? I'd be the asshole that walk into, you know, sir, they won't let him have a meeting. His door's locked. How the hell did you get in? Dude, I have lockpicks. Could you imagine that? Sir, apparently Representative Geek comes in every day and checks his firearm. Since you've been in the industry, how different is the sausage made at all these different places? Well, you know, some places it's vegan. I'm sorry. It really, it is kind of different in different places. So most of the, you know, most of the companies I've been at have actually been pretty small. So I'm usually wearing multiple hats. One of the jobs I previously was at, which I will be spilling more beans about in a few weeks once I get more comfortable at the current job that I'm going to be falling into, is about 7,000 people, and there's a little less responsibility in terms of, like, I didn't have to carry on as many roles, but I did have to still carry on too many things for how much I was expected to do. It's going to be different for every job. It really depends on the culture of the company, and the people that you work around, to be completely honest. So, yeah, it's different places, different realities. This show brought to you by Firearm. Don't you mean firewall? Can you imagine it? Because, can you imagine? Because, like, they require, like, you know, you to work on their IT systems and everything. I would be the stubborn one saying, no, I want Linux. He's refusing for us to work on his system. No touchy. I'd be one of the few Congress people to actually, like, hire my own IT person, have my own penetration testers. So my team managed to penetrate the senator's office. You did what? Yeah, your security sucks. Just remember, if the grass is really greener on the other side, it's because they have manure. Not always. Sometimes you realize you're on the shitty side. Taught myself networking in home labs, thinking of switching jobs. Is it still worth it? I mean, I got into this job by doing that. I did pretty well. Chief would hire his friends. Like any good politician does. Post jobs and discords. Chief, don't forget to change their COBOL to Linux. If it gets me more than what I make now, I volunteer as first employee. I can tell you what, I would probably have the most diverse staff by default. You'll be speechwriter. Yeah, let's see if this shit works out. Unfortunately, I still gotta pay the bills right now. It's a lofty dream. I know people would bring up shit. Mr. Representative, is it true that, you're in an open relationship? Yes. Is it true that you've been in an orgy? Yes. And I'd do it again. Look. This country is fucked. At least vote for a representative that's openly fucking. Half of your IT team would be crazy people. If we could get the Ozzy Osbourne, if we could get the Osbournes to sign off the rights, we could make Crazy Train our anthem. My patriotic glands are engorged. That'd be fun. It's a lofty goal. Maybe I can hit that in my 40s. Unfortunately, I got bills I gotta pay. You know how it is, but hey, maybe it could happen. But for now, I guess I'm going to be calling it a night. I might stream again tomorrow. It is Friday. It is my week off. I am going to be editing some more videos. I have 4 videos I edited this morning. I have 3 more that I have to edit. I have a few more that I'm going to be recording. So there'll be some more YouTube videos coming out throughout the next couple of weeks. So, I love you all. That would be part of the part culture higher and scary part of, oh, she means business. Yeah. Chief, it's Thursday. Yeah, I know. I might stream again tomorrow, on Friday. It's my week off. I can do whatever the fuck I want. But for sure, I'll be on Sunday. Monday, I have my official first day. Gotta, get back to the real life. But thank you all for joining me. If you haven't already, make sure to follow me on all of my socials. My links are in my bio for everything. And of course, make sure to join the Discord and the Matrix server. If you are on Twitch, stick around for the raid. Otherwise, I love you all. Stay safe and happy hacking. See y'all next time.